evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Charter Township of Van Buren Planning Commission meeting for Wednesday, June 24th, 2026. This time I'm calling the meeting to order. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And with that, could we have a roll call, please?
Sherry Budd. Bernie Grant. Here. Peter Creel.
Here.
Medina Atchison.
Here.
Jackson Paul.
Here.
Jeff Jar. Here. Brian Cullen.
Here. We have all assembled with us this evening. We also have in front of us an agenda. Do I have any action concerning the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, move to approve the agenda as presented.
We have a motion and support to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We also have minutes. We don't have minutes this week from last yet. Correspondence and announcements. City of Belleville and Sumter Township again have planning commission meetings coming up July 9th, 2026, if anybody is so interested in attending. Now we open up the floor to general comments. For anyone that would like to speak about an item not listed on the agenda at this time. If you would like, please come forward to the podium, introduce yourself, and feel free to make your comments. Anyone for general comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move ahead. We do not have any public hearing or old business to attend to this evening. We're going to start with the new business. It's item number 1, case 26-003-7 or 734 Hibachi and More Food Truck, temporary land use. The applicant, Robert Cascas, is requesting a temporary land use permit to operate a food truck. The site is located at 41001 East Huron River Drive. This activity is proposed for year-round, Friday through Monday. First off, presentation from the township staff. Director Williams.
All right, through the chair. I will be reading my temporary land use letter dated March 11th, 2026. 734 Hibachi and More is seeking a temporary land use permit to operate a food truck year-round, Friday to Monday, within the parking lot of 41001 East Huron River Drive. This will be parked on the northeast corner of an existing parking lot. The food truck will have a generator. In reviewing the application and the requirements of the zoning ordinance for temporary use approval, the following comments are pertaining to the Planning Commission. Adequacy of parking and access. At the time the site plan for the party store was approved, the site already had a parking deficiency of 4 spaces. Adding the food truck eliminates 2 additional spaces, making the site further non-conforming. On the plot plan, we did not note the distance between the proposed food truck and the parking space at the pump closest to it. However, the applicant did provide photos and shows that the truck does not block the fire lane, which is also addressed in the fire department letter. We also looked at the adequate drainage, compatibility with surrounding land uses, size, height, and type of construction of proposed buildings and structures in relation to the surrounding site, sufficient setbacks from road right-of-ways and lot lines. If the truck is parked there year-round, it would make it a permanent structure. And in this location, with this zoning, it would not comply with the required setbacks for that district. Adequate utilities. The food truck does have its own utilities. The generator is on the front of the food truck. We had talked to the owner. There was talk of possibly installing an exterior electrical outlet, and we did let him know that he would have to pull the appropriate permits through us and through DTE to provide that. Trash disposal and site cleanup. We would like to clarify the grease disposal of the truck. I believe he does get that taken care of a couple times a month on his own, but when he gives his presentation, I will let him clarify that. Sanitary facilities, he'll be using the BP gas station facilities. Hours of operation, outdoor light and signs. Other licenses and permits required. At the time of the review of this application, he did meet all of the requirements. Since the fire truck inspection has lapsed, so if approved, he would need to obtain a new inspection through our fire department. Potential noise, odor, dust, and glare. Fire lanes, fire protection and security. Off-site impacts of traffic volumes. Necessity of any bonds to ensure prompt removal. And I had no other additional concerns that may impact public health, safety, or general welfare. With this, my recommendation is as follows. The applicant intends the food truck to be parked in the location year-round. A use that operates year-round cannot be considered a temporary land use. The township has, on previous occasions, noted that a food truck operating from the same location throughout the year is inherently a permanent land use that bypasses the need for a brick and mortar location and investment into the community. Other small food service uses have been required to apply for site plan approval and proposed site improvements and comply. Allowing the applicant to operate the use year-round is contrary to the intent of the zoning ordinance. Further, the location on this site makes the site more non-conforming with respect to the parking. Therefore, I would recommend denial of the temporary land use application as submitted, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. We also have a letter here from Fire Department.
Do that one as well, so he
Okay.
doesn't have to come up. We have the fire marshal letter that was dated April 1st, 2026. At that time, they had reviewed everything that was submitted in March and found the site is compliant with the Chapter 5 of the International Fire Code. Since then, again, his inspection has lapsed with the fire department, so he would have to update that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The applicant.
Hello, good evening. My name is Raj Shatari. I represent 734 Hibachi and Food Truck LLC. As Ms. Williams has stated, this is a special use permit application.
Could you talk
Guys
into
can
the
speak into
microphone, please?
There we go. Is that better? For your recording purposes, that was working? I got it. Application for a special use permit at 41001 East Huron River Drive, which currently operates as a BP gas station and a C-store, along with several retail units attached to the building. What the application is proposing is a very limited and low impact use of an existing commercial facility. He's essentially trying to serve the existing customer base of the business that's already operating, the motorists, the travelers, people coming in to buy gas and convenience store items. It's not trying to attract additional traffic or additional customers that wouldn't already be there. It's essentially an ancillary service providing another food option for those already existing customers. Mr. Keskis's long-term plan, he would love to have a brick and mortar location. He would love to have an investment in the community. He is a lifelong resident of the community. However, this gives him an opportunity to establish a market base to see if that market even exists for the product that he provides. There essentially is no other competition for the product that he's providing. There's not another hibachi place that he would be hurting in town, anything of that nature. And if you've driven by the location, I understand Ms. Williams' statement about the 4 lacking parking spots initially when the business was constructed or approved. However, if any of you have driven by, there's more than adequate parking there. The parking hasn't ever really been full on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. The food truck occupies 1 spot. There may be additional space clearance needed in front of it for people to walk up and take their food and pay and such. But we do believe that the food truck is compatible with the existing commercial character of the property. As the C-store sells food items, people are there filling up gas. There's additional businesses in the location. It's not set up, there's no outdoor seating. It's not set up for as an area to allow people to congregate unnecessarily. It's essentially a carry-out service for the people that are already just driving in and driving out of the existing facility. Again, it's just an additional service for the township residents, travelers, commuters, people that are visiting the existing business facility. The food truck will comply with all health department requirements, and obviously will, comply with the fire safety requirements as well, and will renew his permit if necessary, or if you were so gracious enough to grant the permit. The additional traffic that will be generated is measurable. He's targeting people that are already there, already at the site. Somebody filling up gas sees a food truck there, providing that additional service. We don't believe there'll be a very minimal impact on traffic. As far as water demand, sewer demand, everything's self-contained in the truck. There's no additional impact as far as that's concerned. The facility or the location already has adequate lighting, parking, egress, ingress required for those people that are already there doing business. So we would ask that the commission approve, albeit temporarily. He's not asking to be there permanently. Even if it's limited in time, allow Mr. Keskes to operate his food truck there, establish a customer base, possibly understand or establish, or so he could decide whether or not there's a market for the product that he's providing.
I'm not good at talking in front of people, but that's why I brought him. The grease, I guess, I self-filter it myself, contain it, dispose of it if needed. There is a grease container there that if I did need to actually dump my grease, I could, but I don't do any of that there. I would love to open a brick and mortar carry-out spot. And if you've been around, there's plenty of vacant buildings, but there's not very many that were, a hair salon or a restaurant before. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not rich. I don't have a lot of money. I'm hoping to make some money doing this so I can further my business, and that's my long-term goal.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners? Comments, questions?
I have a question for possibly staff. For a standard food truck, what's the normal permitting process when it isn't for an entire year? Do food trucks need to come in front of Planning Commission for short-term temporary uses? Or is it only when it's more than 7 consecutive days and 2 consecutive weekends?
Yes, it is treated as a temporary land use, just like the firework tents and such like that. If it is more than 2 consecutive weekends or 7 consecutive days, they come before the Planning Commission.
And if the use is not 7 consecutive days or 2 consecutive weekends, is there any other permitting required in order to run a food truck in a lot?
They do still fill out the temporary land use application with the days they will be there so that they have that approval from our department. They take that approval to our ordinance department and get their peddler's license. The peddler's license is based off of our approval. So if we approve them for 5 days, they would write their pass for 5 days, and that's what they have to pay for. And then they still have to follow the fire department and health department requirements.
And what's the maximum length of time that can be administratively permitted under that process?
If it is under the 2 consecutive weekends or 7 consecutive days.
But if it's like, say it was 6 consecutive days, you could write 6 days administratively. But if they took 3-4 days off and then wanted to run another 6 days, it would be another permit, another licensing fee for that short 6-day temporary use, right?
Correct.
Got it. Got it.
I'd say something on that too. The peddler's license on that's what would break me. It's like $200 from what I understand every time.
And I do know it's like per employee you have on the truck you have to pay for, and per, I don't know the exact fees that they are, but it goes by number of employees you have and how long you're there.
Anyone else? Comments, questions?
Comment, simply that it seems like food trucks are becoming more and more popular. It seems like, you're seeing them in more and more places. Driving home, I'll go by 3 of them, and they seem to be operating not year-round, but through the summer season. Some of them are year-round, and I just hope that our ordinances are keeping up with the changes or potential changes that are happening.
On that note, I don't know if you remember, we actually did the dealership
Which event?
January 7th or January 4th. I served employees. Everyone there seemed to enjoy it.
And that, I really appreciate that, and, but with the ordinance, hon,
I know it's separate.
it's like,
Throwing it out there, like Belleville really likes my food.
Oh, boy.
this board wants nothing more than to bring in another, food business, but we have to adhere to our ordinances.
Yeah, as much as I like, I don't eat at food trucks every day, but I do eat at them. I like hibachi food too. But a year-long permit isn't temporary land use, and parking it in the same space for a year, it doesn't meet the setback. It's a temporary structure. It's there all the time. The ordinance is pretty clear. You can't do it. We can't grant it to you. If there was some smaller amount of time, we might be able to grant a smaller amount of time, but a year long, that's not temporary. And I think even on our temporary land use ordinance, don't we have a restriction on how long we're supposed to be able to give a temporary land use for?
We go up to 1 year.
If the length of time is the concern as to, so that it doesn't become a temporary structure, Mr. Keskis is open to any length of time that the commission's willing to give. Again, it's temporary in nature for him too. It's part of the evolution of his business. It's part of his future planning. It's part of it gives him an opportunity to see if there's a market to make that future investment.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No.
Just
Go.
a question for staff. Maybe this is like a loophole or technicality question. Does it change anything if they were to say do this one weekend a month or every other weekend, or would that require similarly like a new permit every other weekend or every other week?
It would require a new permit.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. As I thought, well, why don't they just run it 7 consecutive days, one weekend, and then take a weekend off every
Right, so
third?
it's
And the reason is, no, that's not how the licensing works. The licensing is designed so that if you want to do that, you can, but you pay every time.
You have to re-up every
Yeah,
time.
you have to re-up every time.
Yeah.
It's not really in our purview to choose a time and grant a time. If the applicant wants to reconsider the option and come back with a different proposal, that's be something I'd willing to consider, but right now, the ordinance says a year-long temporary land use permit it's not temporary at that
Right.
point. It's an accessory structure to a building.
Well, the unfortunate thing is we can't change the ordinance.
Yeah.
Even though we might like
We
to do
verbally
it.
able to offer a different
Well-
time frame as opposed to the year at this current meeting?
Let me ask, how was the application presented? temporary land use for 1 year or up to 1 year?
1 year is how it reads.
I can pull up the application if you give me a moment.
Because would that make a difference as far as what we're concerned with?
I mean, look,
If it's
the
up
reality
to
is
1
that
year?
when Metro Park Party Store was running, this is Mr. Shamas's building, right? He used to run a fireworks tent there. He used to run a barbecue there. 1 year, we had a collision between the fireworks tent and the barbecue pit, if you remember. That was all before the gas pumps went in. That was when that parking lot wasn't crowded. And now that parking lot is crowded. I mean, I respectfully, I was on the committee when we looked at the gas station addition, and I know what the parking situation is there. Yeah, I'm not convinced that putting a food truck there on the corner is such a great idea for any long length of time. You know, a couple, maybe a month in the summer, 2 months in the summer, maybe. But, you know, at a certain point, food trucks are supposed to move around. Part of the allure of a food truck is the variety. If there's a need at a location, having a food truck come for a weekend and then it being a different food truck a different weekend, that's why you see food trucks. It's variety, it's catering to a need. Food trucks aren't bad. I like food trucks. But having a food truck be in one location 24/7, never moving for a summer, that, I mean,
So the truck wouldn't be occupying the space 7 days a week.
Or even 24/7. I drive it
He
home and
brings
bring
it there
back.
and takes it back. So that parking spot essentially wouldn't even be occupied the entire time. It'd be there during his hours of operation, Friday, Saturday,
day.
Sunday.
My other thing is, according to the party store, where I park my truck technically isn't a parking spot. It's where they fill the pumps. They don't fill the pumps on the days that I'm there. So technically, from what I understand, it's not considered a parking spot. At least that's what they told me.
fair.
Vacancy also in that retail building. Another business that's there is not operating during the hours that he would be operating, again, to.
So through the chair, I would like to say, on the site plan that was previously approved for it, it is shown as a parking space. Now, if it's a loading or filling zone now, on here, it is shown as a parking space. And I am currently working with him to close out his site plan, and he will possibly be back before you for a wall versus some trees.
And again, our intention isn't to circumvent the
So-
ordinance or circumvent any of the rules that the city has. It's simply just trying to provide an additional service to township residents without trying to have any sort of an impact on the existing facility or surrounding area at all. And if that's for a limited amount of time, if it's for the summer, we're talking Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, so be it.
I thought it was Monday too. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
Friday through Monday is what I originally proposed.
And that exceeds the ordinance, right? The ordinance, which we can't change. What would be a scenario where they could be the maximum length of time, and give me a scenario of how many days during the week they could do that for the maximum period of time? Like they could do like maybe, what? Would just a Saturday be considered consecutive weekends if they just did a Saturday consecutively?
Would we consider that a consecutive
Like if they
weekend?
did like
Is that-
Wednesday through Saturday?
I think it's the intent of a couple days.
Yeah, so, I mean, the way the ordinance is structured, so if it's more than 2 consecutive weekends, the planning commission has to consider the application. So I believe the way we've implemented the ordinance in the past is that if you have a use, and I apologize if I'm reiterating things, if you have a use that operates more than 2 consecutive weekends at a time, it has to be approved by the planning commission. We can't approve it administratively. So, I think the planning commission does have the authority to approve a temporary land use for, like, say they did, for the remaining weekends to the end of the year. The planning commission could approve a temporary land use for that time frame. It would just have to meet the standards that we have in our zoning ordinance. Did I not
Mr. Chair,
did
could
I
I
answer
ask a
your question?
clarification?
Sure.
When a peddler's license and application is handled administratively, does the administrator take into account parking availability, adequacy of parking and access, setbacks to the road, that kind of thing? We've got a lot of information in the staff letter saying, here's why it shouldn't be a permanent thing. It ends up being a temporary structure, and it doesn't meet many of the zoning ordinances.
Mhm.
Are those same zoning ordinances taken into account when a shorter term permit is given administratively?
Yes.
They are. And I hate to ask a would question, does the applicant currently, or has he had recently, an administratively granted permit?
I did grant him for the one weekend to be there. It was one weekend, was that correct? And then he went to go do the peddler's license, and there was an issue with that, so he did not do it. But we
So-
did grant it for the one weekend, but it was not utilized.
I think the application is, sorry if I can just discuss with my other commissioners, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely.
I think the application as presented is for a one-year temporary land use, and it doesn't meet the requirements, doesn't meet the zoning requirements, and the request doesn't meet the time requirement. It's not up to me to decide, if there was a time that would meet it. It says to me in this report that probably it shouldn't have been administratively granted in the first place because it doesn't meet the zoning regulations. I'd say that I would be probably a denial on the temporary land use. I'm sorry, I like the business and I like the food truck, but at this location, it seems like that's not the right place to put it. That's what it looks like to me on the report. Of course, if the other commissioners feel differently or strongly, I'm absolutely willing to hear it out. That's just one commissioner's opinion.
Through the chair, I think I agree with Medina's that maybe we need to look at the ordinance. I do believe all year round in that spot, especially in the wintertime with ice and snow, that I think it would be more difficult. I can see having him have a temporary for longer through the summer months, but if our permit only goes 6 or 7 days and he's got a reissued one all the time, I think that's a little inconvenient, so I think we need to address that issue. But right now, year round doesn't meet the ordinance.
Through the chair, I have a question for the applicant. Have you been operating at that site with your food truck?
We did
You have.
operate there.
How long have you been there?
Been there since the fire, whatever he is, got on my truck and basically told us to shut down.
Okay.
So we're
So how long did you operate there until the fire marshal?
month.
Just 1 month? Okay.
Did I ask the
Yeah.
applicant, is the applicant operating, or have you operated the food truck anywhere else in the township? No? Okay.
Yeah, I did operate in Belleville, but not in the township, yeah.
Okay. And
How have you been received?
Every day asking when we're gonna come back. Text, calls, Facebook messages. I mean, everyone that was there loved our food and, they'd love to have us back.
Through,
The closest hibachi spot is on Ford Road, which is Ichiban, and it's usually busy. I don't know if you guys have ever been there, and the other one is Ipsy. So having hibachi close to home, a lot of people enjoy.
I think Sherry and again, I'd like just to, times are changing and now there's a new business that has, come about. I think it was birthed out of COVID, the food trucks. And I think we're going to have to look at our ordinances and make sure that, we are business friendly to the food trucks. That doesn't solve our situation that we have here at hand with you right now. So now I have a follow-up question for staff. Is there a way that we can accommodate this food truck request, that we have like a certain amount of time that's specific to food trucks? Because right now, I don't think we have anything in the ordinance that specifically speaks to food trucks.
No, we don't have anything specific in our ordinance which deals with food trucks. We just consider them temporary land uses. You know, the section of the zoning ordinance where we reference the approval criteria, you know, that basically just states, you know, it's gives the planning commission, you know, the ability to look at the site plan and say whether or not they think it's adequate based on those individual standards. So, I mean, that, you know, those parts are there, but yeah, the temporary land uses is a very broad category and it's intended to be a catch-all, but I know a lot of communities over the last, you know, maybe 4 or 5 years have adopted revised standards for food trucks where they've either created an administrative pathway for them to get, you know, an administrative approval for, you know, 6 months to a year, or, you know, have made it a little easier to operate. You know, we've done some things administratively to kind of cut down on some of the costs related to it from the planning department side, but you know, there still are it still are some challenges.
I would agree. It's like, we just don't have the language to accommodate what he's looking to do. And Commissioner Jar is right. I mean, by the definition of what we have in the ordinance, you know, and what they're asking for, it's considered a permanent structure, which is weird to me, but that's the way that's the way that's the way it's viewed by our ordinance. Not that we want to, but I mean, we're kind of tied to that one. But I would,
Add to that, we're calling it a permanent structure, but it's not a permanent structure.
Right,
The
it's
permanent
not.
structure leaves every day. So again, we have a hole that needs to be filled.
but what they're asking for is they're asking for a year-long use of that space, whether or not they stay there the whole time or not. It's still considered by definition.
Again, the way the application read was for up to a year, correct? He's not hell-bent on being there 12 months year-round. Even if he's afforded the opportunity through the summer months, and maybe it's a good opportunity for the commission to see how that commercial property is impacted or how the area is impacted. That way it would be, you know, we could actually physically see what the impacts are instead of just guessing.
I can look at that.
I did not
If
mean
you
to
give me 1
interrupt you.
second.
I just wanted to add that
No, I
piece
think
in there,
that's a
permanent,
good
we're
point.
on wheels, you know.
I would tend to agree with the commission as a whole. I think that we absolutely need to address this. Unfortunately, I don't think that the application as presented meets our requirements. And that is, you know, on us, and that's something we need to address, but given what we have in front of us.
Through the chair, so is there a way that, I mean, because I'm sitting here listening and I agree the way it's presented is not favorable. And it's just favorable to the applicant. But the report is very extensive, but there's got to be a way. Can,
The temporary
well, hold on,
permit for 1 weekend.
let me, I think, is there a way that the applicant can work back with staff, and that's our recommendation, is work with staff, come up with a more defined period that's less than a year. Hours, whether it's waiving I don't know if the commission has the power to waive multiple peddler applicant fees, so it's not financially burdened. I mean, because if it's every other week but it's $200 every other week, that just doesn't make sense to me either. So I'm just asking if our direction as a commission could be, yes, we need to fix the ordinance, because I agree 100% with what that piece is. And then if we can direct the applicant to work with staff and hopefully get this going so they can open up during the summer. I don't know, that's just my thoughts.
So if the planning commission moves to table it, I mean, we can set up a meeting with them as early as tomorrow and see what we can work out and find out a way to address it. I think we could.
Yeah, because I mean, I would love to see it be able to,
Denying it to have them work with
Yeah,
staff.
that's my
Table it
point.
to work with staff is
that's my.
a good avenue.
I always want us to be business friendly, as
Mm.
business friendly as possible. And you've brought to our attention a business that we need to address in our ordinances. And thank you for coming to Van Buren Township. Thank you for wanting to serve our residents. So, and, you know,
Graduated from
I-
Belleville.
Dang.
No, that was actually like my second job next to the golf course that you guys want to destroy and put apartments.
don't
up.
wanna
You don't
destroy
want to,
it.
because I don't want to.
An applicant like yourself has come before us.
And that's, I've
Chair-
lived in Belleville since I was 11 when I got adopted, so.
Mr. Chairman, in this particular application, I'm not sure what part of the ordinance we'd be fixing. The problem that I see is that our staff report indicates that this location for the food truck isn't adequate because it doesn't have adequate parking. There's, little things like grease handling missing and seating missing. But really, the big sticking point is that it's over too close to the side by the setbacks, and that the adequacy of the parking at the site is no longer adequate for food truck handling. It's not your food truck, it's the site. Now, the year long that's no good either. But if it was, the month of, the rest of July and August and in a location that you could get an administrative approval for in the first place, I'd say, oh, well, yeah, a couple months in summer, go for it. And then, come back for another request later if you want to try operating in the winter. But my major sticking point is that this site isn't adequate. It's not that your truck's the problem, or even that, that you couldn't come back for a second temporary land use. It's that the site appears to be bad for it at this point.
Parking.
It's already been driven, it's already got inadequate parking. They gave up parking spots for the ability to have the gas pumps, and that makes it a non-conforming site. By allowing the food truck to be at this location, it makes it a further non-conforming site, and that goes against the zoning rules.
Is there,
Was granted an administrative approval.
Yeah,
at that
yeah, I
site
know.
with
That's
that
why I
food truck.
asked.
is there an opportunity for us, if they made a case to write a letter and say, it doesn't impact their, the current parking, and it adhere to what they need to use, can they ask for an exception, just like a lot of other businesses do?
Go for a variance? I don't think you can go for
I
a
don't know.
variance on a permit. I don't think the
I
rules
don't-
allow
Would
it.
that be an exception to,
An administrative ruling?
So
I'm
our
asking.
parking standards during plan reviews does give the planning commission some discretion to waive or modify parking standards based on some requirements. I'd have to look and verify that it can be done in conjunction with the temporary land use, but certainly I think that's something that's worth looking into.
Mr. Chairman, I have one more question for Director Akers, if possible. If the applicant or this is a general question, any applicant with a food truck were to come to us with a temporary land use at a location, could they also, in the same temporary land use, request multiple locations? Like if they wanted on Tuesdays be at the gas station in the north and at Fridays be in a hardware store on a Tuesday, could they put that all in one application and be like a, traveling food truck and have permission to operate in multiple locations based on the same temporary land use permit?
We probably wouldn't do the same temporary land use permit for multiple locations. There'd probably be a separate permit for each individual location because we'd have to look at the siting and placement for each individual location.
Well, I'm asking because it might come up at some point.
Oh, yeah, no. And so,
good point.
and so I know a lot of like other communities who have updated some new food truck standards. I was just looking at 'em a moment ago. They do it in a way where some of them do it in a way where the permit stays with the food truck and they're able to go in certain areas and do that. So that is an option for a future ordinance amendment. For what we have right now, it's site by site. So we'd have to likely do a permit for each
Okay.
spot.
I just wanted to know that we had thought about that at some point. My opinion is that if staff thinks that there's value in looking at the situation and maybe making an application for a shorter period of time or coming back with a different recommendation, I'd be very happy to say table this. I'm sorry, but postpone it till a different date. rather than deny it.
That's what I,
Through the chair, I agree with Commissioner Jar with that. I would like this tabled so that they can discuss it tomorrow, not next week, tomorrow.
I think
Okay.
our staff is having a sidebar over
Sidebar,
there.
Yes. Is there any other comments from the commission?
Get-
I just would also agree with what was said. I think we need to work with this applicant. We need to make
Which
it,
is fine, I just.
it
wanna
work for
clarify
him and
why I
then look
gave
how it
him-
can fit in. And
because
if
they
we
brought
need to
that
make
up.
changes to the ordinance, then we address that. But in the meantime, you know, we say, this is what we're gonna work out with him. As long as we're doing that, we'll look at the ordinances. But I think we need to address his concerns.
I'd be very comfortable with a three-month temporary land use permit with the option to renew, as long as staff can, feels that this site is indeed adequate. If it's not, if upon further reflection, it's found that it's still not adequate, that's a different thing.
So
Um,
through the, I'm sorry, no,
No.
go ahead. Jeff, were you?
No,
Okay,
please.
I just making sure I didn't cut you off, sir. Through the chair, I would like to say when I did do the approval of the single weekend, that was after he had provided the photo that is in your packet that does show that those are not marked parking spaces. So yes, in the site plan, it does show that they are supposed to be marked parking spaces, but I did not hold that against him for the weekend, and that is something that I am dealing with the owner of the plaza to come into compliance with his site plan, to make sure he does have the adequate parking that was marked on the site plan. And with the setback that says in the letter it's non-compliant, that is if it is for a year and it would be considered permanent. So if it's temporary, which is under the year, then that setback requirement would not apply.
Ms. Chairman, that sounds very much so like staff would like to consider this.
So-
Consider the situation again, and as I said, I'd be very happy to reconsider a 3-month permit instead of
Yeah.
a 1-year permit, again, with the option to renew it, as per our ordinance.
Renewal would be administratively?
I don't remember how special land use renewals go. I think you have to come back
Temporary
again.
land use.
Temporary land use.
Temporary land uses, you would have to come back.
So every 3 months?
I'm comfortable with a 3-month one. That doesn't mean I wouldn't say yes or no to a different time period, depending on what staff learns.
So we're in
is my opinion.
between 0 and less than a year.
Yes, absolutely not a year.
Determined to make sense amongst all of us.
I will say, looking around the community at 5 Points, there seems to be a food truck there. I know that's the city of Belleville, but it seems to be pretty permanent. I don't see it moving at night, ever. I also see at Hayward's, there's a barbecue place. They close up shop, it seems like, for a few days, and they're back open again. Now, again, that's the city of Belleville, but I just want to make sure that we're realizing that businesses are changing. At one time, I don't like to bring up Atchison Ford, but at one time, the only way you could get your vehicle serviced was if you came to a dealership or if you came to Quick Lane. Now we have over 1,000 visits at people's homes, changing their tires, changing their tires. Yes, changing their tires, rotating their tires, oil, even warranty work is now being done where we are going to the customer. It keeps them out of the shop because we need shop space. And it's kind of like nice to be able to go from community to community with, your food truck. You don't have the overhead of a brick and mortar structure. So that's very appealing to you. So thank you. But that's what I want to add to it because I try to help everybody understand how hard it is to be in business. Commissioner Creel will understand. So I want to help any kind of business, we all do, but I just want to preface that as much as possible, that businesses are changing to accommodate, the new ways of doing business.
So I think, through the chair, if I can add to that, I think the direction is agree with Commissioner Jar, right? If we can have staff, right, make it work. But then also if we can direct staff to, in a future meeting, we can amend the ordinance to accommodate food trucks in that business, because it sounds like it's changing, and it'd be good.
Okay.
And I think rather than postpone it, we should just make the motion to let them work with it, because I'm sure they'd like to be open by the 4th of July for all the town that's going on in town.
When's our next meeting?
Yeah,
Hey, when's our next meeting?
8th?
yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's after the 4th.
The staff think that can be handled.
Mr. Chairman, I
Yes.
think that if staff arrives at the conclusion that they could give the permission administratively for the shorter time period, they could always come back at the meeting for the longer term use and still be able to be operational on the 4th if you get all the rest of your permits in line. If staff thinks that would be a reasonable way to approach it.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll schedule a meeting tomorrow. If you guys have time, of course. We'll schedule a time to meet, and then we'll go through the plan and see if we can get you a temporary permit for the holiday weekend and maybe the weekend after that. Then we'll plan on coming back July 8th, assuming we can make everything work, which I think we can. But
So do we need an action on this item then?
Mr. Chairman, I think you've got an action item, which is public comment on this new business. So I don't want to make a motion before the time.
No, no, I'm not. I'm asking, do we need to have an action on this item?
Oh, from staff?
From staff.
I mean, you guys could.
Do we want to move to, look to
Time
postpone?
staff can.
Okay, okay. Now I can open public comment.
You're the boss.
If we
You do
were
whatever you
going
want.
I've tried that before. Okay, is there anyone in the public that would like to make a comment concerning this issue? Please come forward and state your name.
Jackie Updike. I live on East Huron River Drive. I do go to that party store regularly, probably 4 to 5 times a week. And we have nothing at that end of town, really, as far as choices for food. This food truck has been an awesome option for us. He does a variety of stuff. It's not just hibachi, it's smash burgers, it's smash tacos. And I just think it's a shame that he's not been able to operate down there. I do visit the food truck regularly because on Sundays, there's really nothing at that end of town open other than Burger King, McDonald's, and I'm not that kind of person. So I, yes, would love to see him be able to operate from there, and I would appreciate it if you would look at it thoroughly.
Yes. Anyone else? Anyone? Okay, commissioners, seeing there's no one else from the public would like to comment, I need an action on this item.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I would like to move to, in the matter of case 26003-734 Hibachi and More Food Truck Temporary Land Use, I move to postpone action on this item until such time as staff can revisit the site plan and resolve the unknown issues that were brought up in the meeting this evening, with the understanding that that should be accomplished quickly.
Support.
We have a motion by Commissioner Jar, supported by Commissioner Grant. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Bernie Grant,
Yes.
Medina Atchison,
Yes.
Jackson Paul, Jeff Jar,
Yes.
Brian Cullen.
Yes. Motion to postpone carries. Okay, moving ahead. Thank you, and we'll do what we can, hopefully get you operating. Yes. Okay, for this evening, item number 2 is case 25-015, Project Venture Final Site Plan Amendment. A request by applicant YIP eCourse BTS Partners Development LLC on behalf of owner Wayne County Airport Authority to expand existing Wingate DTE substation. The site is located at 6845 Denton Road on the north side of eCourse Road, south of Van Born Road, east of Denton, and west of Beck. First up, presentation by township staff. Director Akers.
I will turn it over to Township Planner, Lauren Sayer.
Thank you, Director Akers. So the final site plan for this project was approved back in January 28th of this year. And then on April 8th, the applicant returned for a final site plan amendment for the guardhouse to increase that 88 square feet, 6 inches high, so minor adjustment. So the applicant is now seeking an additional final site plan amendment to expand the existing DTE substation. The expansion will be 9,130 square feet, and it will be located just off to the east of where the existing one is. So some items that we did want to also note is that Van Born has been vacated as well, so that's just an item to note that right of way, the site actually goes over where the road is, which is a little atypical. But in terms of the use, the dimensional requirements, the access, we found that all to be compliant. The emergency access, we would defer to the fire marshal. Parking and loading. For substations, we still would like them to clarify or need them to clarify where vehicles will park if they're going to be working at the substation for any sort of maintenance or testing or anything like that. Stormwater management, we defer to the township engineer in Wayne County. And we also still require lighting details. The applicant provided that they're putting 2 poles, 17-foot tall poles in the substation area. So we need the photometric plans, the manufacturer cut sheets, the CCT ratings, and the illumination levels to ensure compliance. Any signage that may be required by the fire marshal as necessary. Again, we would defer to them, and I don't believe they're proposing any additional signage, but if they did, it would have to be compliant with the ordinance. And then finally, fencing. They currently have barbed wire fence, a 6-foot tall chain link barbed wire. So the ordinance does allow Planning Commission to allow barbed wire if it determines that it's necessary for the safety and security. So Planning Commission just needs to decide, I suppose, if that is appropriate or not. In our opinion, since other substations have been approved with the black security fencing, we feel that's a little more appropriate, as the security can still be accomplished. But we also did want to note that previously, I believe the substation Morton Taylor was also approved with barbed wire. So it is discretionary on Planning Commission's part on if they feel it's necessary for the safety of the site. But given all of those items, we feel like those are minor things that can be addressed administratively. They're outstanding items. So we would recommend granting the site plan amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kamer?
Yes, thank you, Chair. We reviewed the site plan amendment dated May 27th, 2026. In general, the plans include no modifications to the existing site utilities or services. As far as specifics for water main, the only comment that we have is whether or not, the site itself is in need of hydrant coverage, which we would defer to the fire marshal on. There's no sanitary service in the area. Paving and grading, we would defer to the township fire marshal, the planner, as far as emergency access goes for the gravel entrance drive. And the only minor comments that we looked at or had is with the stormwater management. The overall drainage plan has been updated to include the DTE substation expansion gravel pad, and it is included as part of the updated tributary to Basin A. The stormwater calculations have been revised and include this new area, and it shows a minor increase in the overall depth of the pond or storage of the pond. It's 0.02 feet, so a quarter of an inch. Other than that, the only comment that we would have is that because the stormwater management goes through Wayne County, that they would need to go through the county to make sure that this modification to the construction permit has been reviewed and approved by them. We don't see any major concerns with that. And at this point, we would recommend that the Planning Commission grant the Project Venture DT substation expansion final site plan amended approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Next, Deputy Fire Marshal Lanigan.
That's right. The substation doesn't fall under the International Fire Code, so we have no authority to even enforce it. When it comes to access and it comes to gaining entry into something like that, I wouldn't want my people going even near this place. So we're satisfied that the hydrants are fine, and any access that we're going to need is going to be sufficient. But as far as inside of the substation itself, yeah, we have no authority.
Water and electricity don't mix very well. What's that? Okay. That works. Thank you. And now, presentation from the applicant.
Good evening. Manny Torgo representing Project Venture. I'd like to just start by sharing my appreciation for this body for giving us our initial site plan approval and our final site plan approval, and now we're obviously coming back for an amendment to that. Great. Is that better?
Yes.
Great. So we're here today to present a expansion of the existing Wingate substation that's on site already. The substation, I'll run you through this just quick presentation. So I think everybody here should be relatively familiar with this site plan. This is the overall building. The substation that we're talking about is up in this corner up here. So this is obviously Denton, and this is the vacated Van Born Road, right on the other side of the tracks. And just to zoom in a little bit and give a little bit of context, here's the overall, here's the existing DTE substation. We're adding on, it's actually a little smaller than the existing DTE substation is. It's obviously set back off of Denton, I think it's over 300 feet, and off of Van Buren over about 150 feet. Happy to answer any questions that this body would have.
Okay, commissioners.
Question. Why wasn't this in the original application, and what is it for?
Great question. So as part of the initial application, we didn't have a full power count for what the building was going to need from a load perspective. As we went through the process, obviously there was a speed element that we were trying to hit so that we could get the ultimate end user into the building in a timely fashion. And as we went through and refined that, we realized that there was a need for an additional substation here. The existing substation
doesn't have enough capacity to service this substation in the long term. I'm sorry, to service this facility in the long term. And so we made the decision collectively with DTE that we needed to add on to it.
Has anything changed inside the building that drove that? Or is it just purely you didn't have the loads?
It was, nothing has really changed in the building, but there's a lot of sort of, there's some cutting edge robotics going on within the building from like an auto store perspective and some other things that we didn't have the exact calcs on. And we honestly have gone through and refined them probably 3 or 4 times.
But if you thought that, you could have, I mean, I would have thought that you could have at least identified expansion for potential, you know, from day one, so that it doesn't appear like, hey, we got final site plan approval, now it's time to go back and get these little things we want, just so that it doesn't appear to be that way.
Sure, that was certainly not the intention, and
Yeah.
I apologize if that's how it was received.
Okay.
The chair?
Yes.
A few questions for you. So first, can you just clarify exactly what equipment is being added?
So, first of all, I have a DTE representative here who's with us today also who could speak to this matter, who could probably talk to the equipment better than I can. But we also provided just an image of it so that you would have an idea, but I'll let Matt talk to the specifics of the equipment.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. Matt Granati, project manager for DTE. So as you can see in the photo here, we call that our transformer lineup. So the big unit on the left, that's the actual new transformer unit that's being added. It's actually not much bigger than what you would see on like a mid-rise, like mixed-use building. And then we call them voltage regulators, the next 2 boxes, and then a recloser, which is a protective device on the end. So this is all basically kind of like a preset lineup we get from a manufacturer. It gets added on that east side extension on the north end, and then on the south end, there's room for a spare. As the community grows, we could add, more capacity. So that's kind of it. I mean, it's very, as far as substation expansions that I've been a part of, this is very simple and straightforward and won't really change much from the existing layout as it stands now. So
I have 2 more that you might be able to help with, if that's okay, Mr. Chair. First is, so will there be any new like overhead utility lines with this, or is it just the transformer boxes?
So there is a few new overhead lines. They're going to be just outside of the footprint of the existing substation fence, and that's only to serve the customer's load.
Okay.
And so the way it was decided on this project, there's a few poles that go just to, we call it a customer pole. It's a demarcation point. And then from there, that's where the customer's load kind of takes over, and that's their equipment, and then we kind of stop there.
Okay. Do you have any drawings or renderings of those poles?
I don't know if we have them available today. No, we've got some preliminary ones that are on our internal design system. It's not a CAD system, so it won't be like apples to apples as this does. We can't provide that if needed. But yeah, it's just along the south side of the fence. And again, it really only extends maybe about 30 feet max from the edge of the expansion. It's all on the airport authority's property, and it's all on basically the facility of where so the Stellantis building's going to be.
And then are the transformers going to increase any noise on the neighboring parcels?
Not that we believe. The noise that we provided by the manufacturer is 57 decibels, but that's right next to it. That's not accounting for, X amount of footage away in distance. And typically, these are much newer than the existing transformers out there, and they're smaller. So they're going to be lower than what's already been on site for the past roughly 50 years.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'd like to ask the applicant, what are their thoughts on this barbed wire versus black security fencing issue?
So I'll tell you, my perspective is I'm fine with it, but it's a health and safety issue. And DT, obviously, I think there's precedent within the township. There's been a couple that have been approved with it because of the health and safety risk that comes along with it.
Mr. Chairman, I asked the representative of DTE to comment on the fencing issue vis-a-vis black security and barbed wire.
Sure thing. So yeah, as was mentioned by one of the board members there, we have used the black utility with the spikes in the past at other stations. It does provide a level of security, but it's not our preferred standard level of security, and that's why we do prefer the barbed wire. Needless to say, you can probably heard stories and just imagine how bad it could be if an unauthorized person were to get into the substation and, God forbid, get hurt. So that's really, it's just a deterrent is all it is. It's not meant for, any other reason than that.
If I could just add one thing, I know the township's feelings about barbed wire.
We've had this conversation before with the applicant, Mr. Chairman.
Where the substation sits, the barbed wire is not visible in any direction because of the setbacks and the sort of the covering of the trees around it.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. It answered my question. And just as a comment, to the other commissioners, I'm okay with the barbed wire in this
Well,
location.
Through the chair, actually, I went out there and looked at it. You can see the current substation from the road. You can see the current substation from the house across from the tracks. So I would imagine this being right next to it, you will see the barbed wire. So,
Forgive me if I misspoke.
no, I know you tried.
No, I walked to the tracks. I didn't see
Yeah.
it, but
Well, if you walk the tracks, but the thing is, you're taking down some trees as well, right?
there are some trees that are
Right,
coming down.
right.
It's not a large
Yeah.
number.
And quite frankly, actually, most of the screening, I'll call it, on both sides of the tracks is mostly deciduous. To the point where I want to look at the ordinance from a screening standpoint and talk about that a little bit in the future too. Can you tell me what the fence would look like with the barbed wire on the top of it?
Seeing what it would look like?
What is it?
Our standard is,
Is
it's
it a-
not the coiled barbed wire, I believe.
Fence with barbed wire on top of it, or is this like a
It's a standard
wire
chain link
mesh?
security
Yeah, that's what it
fence with barbed wire. I believe it's split in the V, and it's not like the coiled razor wire you see at some places.
Is there a decorative style fence that you could provide barbed wire on top of it?
Throw that up on the overhead.
But it's just the wire mesh. It's just a standard wire mesh fence,
I'm gonna disconnect the
which is like
presentation.
anybody's backyard fencing
Then
with.
that camera should come on. Get it? Just give it a second.
Pull it back.
There's a button you can do. You should be able to
So
do.
that's, I don't think the barbed wire on the bottom of the fence is going to be very effective.
I think we get the idea. And then you
So it's
just.
like a V.
you-
And it's the standard
Standard
fencing
V.
that is used
Yeah.
in rural electrical utility facilities all throughout the township. Yeah.
Painted, just galvanized or.
I believe it's a galvanized steel.
Is there a version of a decorative style fence that's black that you can just add the top to it?
The standard I was provided for our decorative standard one doesn't have a barbed wire aspect to it. It's more of like points.
Is there a non-standard version?
I'm sure that could be looked into.
Because quite frankly, if we said you have to do the decorative one, that's non-standard, right? So he's shaking his head, he agreed to it, but, I mean, I think I would be good with a decorative version if you could put barbed wire on top of it, but, I mean, it's right across the street from.
Mr. Chairman, I think that maybe our planning consultant, Ms. Sayer, could comment on it, since she's the one that brought up the two fencing options. I believe what she was talking about was the decorative security fencing that appears at different, like the financial institutions in the township, that's black bars and has that recurve on the top.
That's the fencing was referencing with the security fencing.
Yeah, so
Through
that,
the chair, for the sake of, them being subject matter experts on how to secure a substation, I am fine with the barbed wire to ensure that we keep humans out of that area. So that's my thoughts on that. We have used it in other places to keep out humans from certain areas. We've used the decorative just to make the fencing taller. I just want to ask a question. You are putting in additional trees. I know we're past this, but it is hard to see that barbed wiring, right? You would have to come up close to the fencing to see it?
Disagree with the other commissioner, but in my opinion, I would agree with that. And there is existing barbed wire there on the existing substation.
Thank you.
So I wasn't disagreeing with the barbed wire. I was just saying, is there a decorative fence that you could put the barbed wire on? Just to be clear.
Right, I think there's really two options, is either a decorative fence or a barbed wire.
Right.
In my experience, I've never seen a
Yeah.
decorative fence with barbed wire. I could be wrong, though.
I mean, could we get it? Could, sure they could do it. Yeah, I mean, you could do the welded wire fence as like a coated wire so that maybe it's less silver, right? That would work.
In essence, just coat the,
Yeah.
so the color is not as evident.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's something we could look at. No, I mean, the only thing I would say there, I don't know processes with painting or powder coating a fence, if that has any potential hazard with our electrical equipment, if there's an arc flash, if maybe there's more potential for a fire, if there's some kind of like paint chemical layer on a fence versus just a plain steel. I think, again, I don't know if that's one of the reasons why that standard exists, but that could be a potential reason why we have that. I'd have to double check with my design folks on that.
I also am okay with the barbed wire, just to make sure residents don't get in there. And because of the area, I could see kids getting nosy.
There's an existing substation with barbed wire today, right? I believe, yeah, so I'm just, if we're counting, I'm okay with the barbed wire chain link fence too. I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry, could you just touch on one more time, just some more details on the overhead lines and the poles? You mentioned that they were outside of the footprint of the substation. Could you point out, like on the site plan, where, and then potentially talk about how tall the poles will be, and then what type of poles they'll be?
No, I need your help again. You know how you did it? While Brittany is helping me pull this up. So in essence, it's gonna come, I'm directionally challenged a little bit. It's gonna come from the substation towards the building. There's about 2 or 3 poles between the building and the substation. And it's gonna sort of come off, there's sort of an access road there for emergency. It's gonna come off around that and towards the building.
Okay, thank you.
As soon as we,
And then one more question, maybe while you pull that up. Is the applicant paying for all of the improvements? Or is DTE paying?
paying for them?
Or Stellantis or Project Venture, or is it DTE that's paying for them?
Project Venture is paying for the improvements.
Okay, thank you.
And so just to give you the idea here, here's the overall site plan. I'll pinch in a little bit. But basically, you're gonna come off the substation.
Okay, so it's gonna be on the same,
All staying on the site, yeah.
Okay.
It's all fully enclosed within the
thank you,
subsite.
yeah. I was thinking maybe you meant off of the parcel coming back. Okay, thank you.
So this is like one of their fire pump stations, so their electrical equipment for the customers gonna be right here where this box is. So we're literally just having a pole line come right outside the fence. It's only about 8 feet off the existing fence, and then about 3 poles, so maybe right about there.
And then
And
it goes underground.
underground, right into the customer's equipment.
Perfect, thank you.
They say how tall the poles were.
Anybody else? Comments, questions? Planner Sayre, question for you. Why was if there's an existing cyclone fence there now with barbed wire, what was your concern for or reasoning for suggesting to look at ornamental?
So they'll have to remove part of it to kind of capture the new substation area. And so it's really more in recent light of the previous substations that have been approved with this fencing and the sort of direction the ordinance generally takes about wanting to limit barbed wire fence.
Okay, so I believe that in our ordinance was to try to make them more appealing, or is that the word I want to use? As you're looking at them as you pass by, the visibility of this is still there. Is it possible in the landscaping process that they could change some of the evergreens that they're planting in places to provide screening for this? Not adding more trees, but
In this area, I'm sorry, I'm Mike Mott with PEA Group. We're the civil and surveyors and landscape architects. Yeah, through the development of the site,
That's
you
the
know,
one.
we planted a number of trees, and up in this area, you know, we had one berm by the access drive in there, but we're not taking out, we're only taking out east of the existing substation there. We're not touching anything in further. So there's really not room to plant anything additional in there. I mean, we don't want to cut down a deciduous tree to just plant an
right,
evergreen or something
right.
in there.
No, that's fine.
So, you know, that's, with that, you know, we're not taking out any, you know, restricted trees or anything with what we're doing.
Do you have a drawing that shows the landscaping around it by chance to blow up?
No, I got a tree preservation plan.
That'll work.
I don't know if it's gonna show up on that. What do I got flash for? What happens? Oop, lost that TV.
I think stick out. isn't it?
Right up in here, right?
Kinda hard to see. Railroad tracks
Mm-hmm.
are through here. The existing substation's right in this area.
Yeah.
So the only additional trees we're taking out is in this section right adjacent to it. And all these trees are, you know, except for where the road was coming through, and that is in the, these were removed with the detention basin, but we put the berm in along here and stuff, and then we planted a few trees up in there.
So you are planting the berm, is what you're saying?
That, as part of the original site.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else, commissioners?
Not to the applicant, but question for staff, just clarity. Is there anything, is there like a limit on final site plan amendments?
No. I mean, the applicant could come back and could propose revisions if they so choose.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else from anyone? Seeing none? Okay. Anybody in the audience care to make comment? Okay, with that, commissioners, what's your druthers?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
in the matter of case 25015, Project Ventures Final Site Plan Amendment, I move to approve the amendment made by the applicant YIP eCourse BTS Partners Development LLC on behalf of owner Wayne County Airport Authority to expand the existing Wingate DTE substation at the site located at 6845 Denton Road. Subject, based on the analysis and subject to the conditions found in the McKenna letter of June 17th, 2026, the Fishbeck letter of June 17th, 2026, and the fire marshal letters of June 11th, 2026, noting that the Planning Commission is approving the use of the existing barbed wire fence, and a clarification that the applicant must clarify on the plans where necessary vehicles would park in the event of maintenance repairs. The clarification needs to be on the plans. It isn't to be made at the time maintenance or repairs come up. Other than that, that's my motion, humbly submitted for your support.
By Commissioner Jar, supported by Commissioner Atchison. Any discussion on the motion?
There was discussion, the commissioner had a question. Yes, sir, I said that noting that the planning commission approves the barbed wire fence as proposed by the applicant.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Bernie Grant,
Yes.
Sherry Budd,
Yes.
Peter Creel,
Yes.
Medina Hutchinson,
Yes.
Jackson Paul,
Yes.
Jeff Jar,
Yes.
Brian Cullen.
Yes. You have your amendment.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, moving ahead. We're to item number 3 this evening. Hotel Height Ordinance Amendment Memo, discussion number 2. We are to discuss the proposed hotel height ordinance amendment. Presentation from the staff. Director Akers.
I will turn the presentation over to Lawrence Air, Township Planner.
Thank you, Director Akers. So if Planning Commission recalls, last month we discussed two ordinance amendments, and Planning Commission gave direction on some of the language they would like to see or some of the things they would like to see captured in proposed language. So we are still working through some of the research and drafting of the child caring organizations one. It's kind of getting expansive, but we do have some language for the B-Rod height and hotel heights for Planning Commission to consider tonight. So I believe, if this is in a place that Planning Commission's comfortable with, the next step would be at the next meeting or the next available for noticing, rather. We would have the public hearing with any changes that Planning Commission might have. So we looked at a couple things. First, uses that are permitted in the B-Rod district to see if there are any that may also have some difficulties or not benefit from potentially not use, I suppose, the step back requirement. And from the uses allowed, either by permitted or special land use, we also felt that hospitals or senior housing, if they were going to use that height bonus, would likely not be having rooftop amenity spaces. Again, if Planning Commission feels that those uses, you'd still want them to adhere to that for that height bonus, that can be easily changed as well. We also looked into, again, what currently is requiring or is, I guess, mandating the facade variation to see if that in and of itself would capture the concern of having sort of a blank-faced building. And so the 40 feet variation or 75 feet in the core sub-area does require the facades to vary, although it does allow for that variation to be something like, canopies or awnings, which might not meet the intent of having the physical building massing be recessed or projected out. Additionally, the windows requirements, these would still all be required. The window recess, the awning in conjunction with street trees, human scale elements, windows for 50% of the first floor, things like that. And we'll kind of touch on that a little bit in the proposed language a little bit more. In terms of case studies for other communities, I think you'll probably recognize a lot of these because it was the same communities that I believe we were referencing when we originally proposed this step back. We were having trouble finding other communities that have adopted sort of similar language. So Birmingham does have a hotel that does have that step back, so you can kind of visually see what that would look like in that scenario. Additionally, Lake Orion also has the step back. We could not, from a street view, I'll caveat with that, see any buildings that were utilizing it. There was a site plan approved in 2024, but construction has not started on that, so that's sort of a mixed use building there that they have a rooftop space. And then we also wanted to note that we found in the Ferndale ordinance that they actually prohibit specifically I shouldn't say setbacks, I should say step backs, I apologize, for hotel buildings. And our understanding of that one is they were concerned about adjacency to residences and noise from rooftops. So moving into the draft language, I did print out on that separate page some amended language in the red text, just because I think sometimes it's easier to see the text written out. So I will be referencing that sheet. But we highlighted in yellow the changes, and it's mainly additions. So in the subsection with the additional building height, added the exception for hotels, senior housing, and hospitals, and then that stayed the same, and then added a section, subsection J, that has that height bonus for hotels, senior housing, and hospitals. So it still requires the additional setback that the previous provision has. And then we also want to requiring at-grade doorway shall be set within a recessed or projected entry area that is distinct from the primary building facade plane. And then facade shall not be flat along the continuous plane and shall incorporate either alternating projections or recesses at a minimum intervals of 40 feet within the gateway sub-area and 75 feet within the core commercial sub-area. So it aligns closely with that previous provision I mentioned for the architectural standards in the BROD, but this one is forcing them to, the variation it's forced to be, a difference in that building facade plane. And then the at-grade doorways are sort of, focal points. So having those be either projected or recessed in some way, I think also would lend to that variation that Planning Commission was desiring. So happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Commissioners.
Through the chair, I have some questions. Just with the language, overall, I like the idea of where this is headed to give some flexibility to hotels. Where you have at-grade doorways shall be set within a recessed or projected, number 2 and 3, I'll just say both 2 and 3. And then I have a separate question for 3. Are these meant for just facades that face the roads, or is it all the way around? Because they seem like they could apply to any face, or is it meant to be just the anything facing a street?
It's hard to contextualize it outside of from where the hotels are, because you kind of do get two sides almost to see, but
if it's meant for roadways, then it probably have to mention that, versus it could, on the back of a building, this would, at grade doorway shall be inset with recessed projection entry area that is distinct from the prime building. It could be on where the way it's written, it could be on the back. It would mean it has to be on the back of a building too, right?
Yeah, I'll have to check. Let me see if we have a facade definition. Typically, facades are usually from a road frontage, but
that would be the only thing. It would be just maybe not 100% clear to me, but. And then the other one, it has to do with the 40 feet within the gateway mixed use, and then 75 feet within the core commercial area. So I was just wondering, I know I mentioned something about maybe we can add, as approved by the Planning Commission, to get, so that we have some leeway with that. Considering if that's a hard fast every 40 feet, I don't know where that comes from, or a hard fast 75 feet. Or it says maximum, I guess that would be good. At 75 feet, I don't know if that's a maximum or minimum. Just things like that. Something that gives us some ability to have some flexibility in, and reviewing, the design of the building based on this criteria, I guess, is kind of where I'm coming from.
sure. So the 40 feet and the 75, I wanted to just be consistent with the previous architectural requirement in the BROD.
Yeah.
But I do understand your point about kind of mirroring that as approved by the Planning Commission for bullet 3 or item 3.
So that maximum interval is 70, it applies to 75 feet as well?
Yeah, so how it's written in previously is at least every 40 and 75.
Yeah.
So it's kind of same thing said a little different.
I like the
but
flexibility for the designer too, as well as us. I think it's
like up to that. I think it's I mean, I can rephrase it so it's mirrors the at least, so then that's kind of the, you know, you can't go 45 feet without some sort of facade variation.
I think that's really what comments I had.
Mr. Chair, I would recommend very strongly mimicking the language that already exists in the BROD. I want it to be not a special case for hotels. I don't want it to be. Planning Commission has discretion. I want it to mimic what's in the Belleville Road Overlay District. So if there is existing language that talks about continuous planes incorporating projections and recesses, it's in order to break up a long, expansive facade. Mimic what's in the BROD. That would make me very happy, rather than making it a special case for hotels, senior housing that doesn't apply except for hotels and senior housing and it gets too complex if it's a special case. I'd like it to be consistent with the Belleville Road Overlay District. I think I understood the commissioner's question on point 2 about at-grade doorways shall be set within recessed or projected entry area that is distinct from the primary building facade plane. I think the question was, what happens if the hotel has a front and a back and they're both on a street? This says the primary building facade plane instead of just a facade plane. And I think that might, if I understood you correctly, Commissioner Grant, that's what the question was. What's the primary facade on a hotel that's on a corner?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that probably ought to get clarified. It's not, a building can have more than one primary facade if it's on a corner. If it's on a corner, it could have two. If it's on, corner of two streets, it's got two facades. It's not just the primary one. Does that make sense? That's what you were asking, right? Yeah, I just want to make sure I understood. Ms. Sayre, you understood what I got? What I'm getting at?
My understanding from Planning Commission's discussion last meeting was that it was desired to have an exception for hotel buildings, so that's why it's drafted like that. So I guess getting
well, I mean
consensus.
the exception for the hotels was that we had already made this exception for a height allowance as long as there was a step back at the height. Right, at the height. That was an exception we made that didn't work out very well.
Right.
But I don't want to make a whole lot more exceptions like at-grade doorways. I don't think the previous one talked about at-grade doorways, did it?
No, I think what she's trying to do with that language is she's trying to get some
criteria to break it up.
So, right, because the step back was to sort of break up that
Right.
face. So
she's adding
force
elements
that.
till you don't.
Element. So if you can't do
Right.
the step back, at least do
Right.
something nice with the front door.
Right. So, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. I understand. Thanks. I'm glad you brought it up. I didn't understand the point there. That's okay. Good. My only other question for a consultant is, now that this draft has been published publicly and is publicly available, will anybody be reaching out to the gentleman who brought this to our attention in case he has any comments on what's been published so far? Have you been working with him, or are we going
So
to reach out to him, or what?
He has reviewed the draft, and so that's where the change came from, actually, to try to clarify and ensure that we're not hopefully creating more problems by trying to fix a problem.
I want to have
I don't
another
see it.
hotelier come back with you guys blew it 2 times in a row. I don't want to hear that.
It's designer friendly, but it adds some requirements that make it appealing.
Okay, cool. And you're speaking as you're an architect, right? So I got.
Oh yeah, okay, that'd be fun.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah.
Cool. I like it. I'm okay
Okay.
with this, Mr. Chairman.
Through the chair, one quick question for you, Ms. Sayre. Can you just clarify, so we have two separate, and I think you touched on this, we have two separate definitions. One being in our packet that has the McKenna logo in the top right, it says 4 on the bottom. The other is the standalone, that was the one that was on our desk when we came in. Can you just clarify which one is the one that we are looking at? Or I guess
She's recommending. Which one?
which one you're recommending? Sorry.
Sure. The standalone, and so that was
Okay.
a change that was made briefly before, so I apologize for the confusion. But if I would also be able to get clarification on if you would want the facade to mean all building sides or just visible from road, or just the front, whichever the front may be.
I would say all sides.
Well,
I'm
No.
sorry.
No?
I guess looking at some of the hotels over there now, there's the fancies on the front. And on the back where there's an ensign, he does have a canopy on those. But I would hate to tell him that they have to have the sinking front door and all the fancy double doors on the.
No, but
Yeah.
to break up the back door, having a canopy or having it recessed,
Well, I wouldn't say he had to have it recessed, because I think.
well, as an option, I'm saying as an option, it could do one of
Yeah.
two things. I don't, doesn't matter, it just, so many architects, when they design things, they ignore the back of things, the backside of houses, the backside of buildings, because nobody's gonna see them. Well, if you happen to have to park in back of a hotel, which I have quite a few times,
Right.
it would be, I'm not saying to make it fancy. I don't think, no, you don't want to redo a front facade on the back, but something a little bit different so it's not just plain. That's my thought.
so I was going a little bit by the second item for the original zoning ordinance where it says on all sides with street frontage. That's why I guess, that's where I was coming from originally.
And remember that we're talking about, this is an extra gimme for getting the
The
additional 55 feet. So it's not all hotels have to follow these three, these 3 points
Right.
laid out. This is if and only if you want to go up to 55 feet, you've got to hit, some of these or all of these points, right? So.
No, I wasn't looking for them to
Right, I
redo
gotcha.
the front and the back, but something different back there.
I got you.
Just if we're gonna have a public hearing.
So do we have anything else? Then do we want to send this, do you have enough, does she have enough to go forth?
Facade one more time on what, which one you would like to see. I apologize.
All facades or just the facades at front?
Sure, I think just the front or street facing.
Street
I mean,
facing.
Facing.
We're mandating design features
Is
that
it's
I
going to
don't
be either
think really-
corners, which means you don't necessarily see the back, or if it front and back, you could, basically, it's almost all sides.
I mean, I'm thinking like our example of, suites or home two suites, right? I mean, that's kind of the gist of where we got this from. They're a rectangle building, right? That, yes, you have back behind parking, but I don't think we need to mandate a big facade change on the back.
Well, even if it's
I don't know.
canopy or,
I guess
Right.
that would be the projected entry area.
Yeah,
So you're
it's
saying like, hey, no matter what, if you're going to make this building tall, put a projected entry
yeah,
area
just something,
distinct on the back.
yeah,
Again,
Language
through
the way
this
it
open
is, yeah.
discussion, I want to remind everybody that we are not hotel developers. We are planning commissioners. The hotel developers, the restaurant developers, the truck, food industry, they are the subject matter experts, and we are working within our ordinances. And that's where I want us to stay personally, because when we get out of our box is when we get into trouble and we get confusing. And then we become, when outsiders look to come to Van Buren Township and they look at our ordinances online, they go, whoa, I have to have 3 facades? No, they're like, we're going somewhere else. So I want us to remember that we need to, I don't want to say business friendly, but we have to realize that these developers come to our community. It's actually, I take it as a compliment that they're considering putting money into our community. And I want them just to be treated as the subject matter experts that they are. And let's just stay in our,
I would say put them on road frontage. I mean, essentially developers, what they'll do is on non-road frontages, they'll do as much minimum as they can. It's
and
very,
that's okay.
which is fine. I'm not saying it's
That
not.
works for our
But
ordinance.
I would do road frontage as what I would call the minimum.
What's it got to do with height? Maybe that's a question for our consultant. Consultant, Ms. Sayer, there was the front, the at-grade doorways being either recessed or projected. That's we want you to recess or project your doorways in order to be able to build up to the 55-foot mark. What does the doorway on the ground floor have to do with the height of the building?
It's basically, instead of the step back, it's offering architectural variation at sort of a key entry point. So it's
That's why I think it should apply to the road front. It should be the main facades at front roads. That's what I was saying.
So the
originally.
point is, you can go extra high if you've provided this architectural variation around the front door.
Architectural features on the more prominent ones which face roads, period. And then everything else after that, it becomes a developer's sort of their take on the design, which is not the most prominent facade, but that's how it goes.
What I'm concerned with, we've got that 181 acre parcel across the street from us that we've looked at, where we've kind of said some of the plans that we've seen has projected that to be out near the road, the front of it, no parking in the front, just, and then using the back side of it as your entry in, without that officially being a road. Now, do you want that to look just plain on the back if you're trying to make that as a featured area?
Well, I think other ordinances would take over as far as materials, character, correct? So that would take over, whereas they would have to adhere to those. I think really what we're trying to do is get more interest, special interest, more definition, the design, quote unquote, as the aesthetics that everybody's going to be seeing 24/7 on the main roads. And she's right, to be developer friendly, you can't make them do it everywhere because it may, the performer that they're going to develop, it probably may price itself out of the project.
Well, as I said, I'm not looking for this to be
I know what you're saying.
the front of the building to be in the back of the building as well, but something different back there than a just plain canopy, something to break that up.
I think if somebody applies for site plan, I think that's probably the time to address it with regard to the zoning that's already there. At least that's my thought.
Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, could I ask Ms. Sayer, does our ordinance or our building standards for hotels have anything to say about whether or not doorways should be recessed or projected? I mean, is it part of the building standards for hotels? Do they have to have a covered foyer?
I don't believe that they have to. I
Okay.
think most of them, the newer ones, you would find that they're kind of
They already do.
a little bit. Yeah, they already do that.
They do that by
Consent,
design,
but-
yeah.
This point number 2 about the entryways being recessed or projected, I really don't care. I mean, I hate to say it quite like that, but another point on all the person wants to do is build their hotel taller. I mean, change the doorway. They've already got the facade shall not be flat along a continuous plane, right? I mean, that's already going to cover the flat wall thing. And you can fix the facade not being flat along a continuous plane by recessing or projecting a door. I don't know why I have to mandate that you have to recess or project a door if you've got enough facade breakup to make it look pretty and architecturally unique. Go ahead, build your tall hotel. I mean, I think point 2, what do I want to do with it? I think I'd drop it personally.
Yeah, I think the reason that's there is to make the entrance more prominent rather than a door with a, with a little shed roof over the top of it. I think that's what the intent is. But I don't think the intent was that it was going to go all the way around the building. That's my understanding.
So I think Ms. Sayer is still looking for clarification on what we want to do on point number 2. Would that be an accurate statement?
Do we recommend strike out number 2? I mean, I don't think we're never going to approve a brick building that's flat all the way around. I mean, in reality, right? And I don't think our ordinance allows it. So
Feel like it's covered.
I think it's covered. I mean, to Commissioner Grant's point, I think a lot of the other pieces of the ordinance are going to cover it.
I mean, I think if the real focus here was, hey, the main entrance needs to be prominent and more of an architectural feature, I think that's what that's trying to allude to. But obviously, we're all interpreting it differently.
This is about height.
Theoretically, they could, on the main facade, they could do there every 40 feet or whatever, and at the entry, then it could just be a door with a little shed roof on it.
I mean, if point 2 said something,
That's why.
if point 2 said something more along the intent, which is that the main entrance to the hotel shall be designed so as to architecturally minimize the appearance of the extra height. I mean, okay, that's the point of the whole idea, right? Is you want to have something on the front, make the front extra pretty so that it doesn't just look like a 55-foot story tall wall. As long as you put a nice front facade on it, we can see past overlooking the extra, what is it, 10 feet that we're arguing about? I mean, Ms. Sayre, does that sound like something you could craft?
I would worry because, I mean, the reason why number 3 exists, even though it's similar to a previous requirement of the B-ROD, is because, you know, they allowed that variation to come in the form of something like providing awnings or canopies, which, you know, to me, a flat building with just, you know, little window awnings wouldn't be accomplishing what you'd want. So, you know, having, to your point about making things, I guess, more clear, I guess the type of variation you'd like to see would be, I
Yeah,
think.
and so this is actually this is only in the Belleville Road Overlay District, right?
Correct.
So this already has all of the Belleville Road Overlay District language about human scale, walkability. You know, it's supposed to be pedestrian-friendly, pedestrian scale. You've already got, because it's in the Belleville Road Overlay District, you've already got a very wide ability to control what the ground floor looks like. You know, I don't know that, you know, it's in the Belleville Road Overlay District. It's got to be a red brick building, right?
I'll be honest with you, I don't think that has a major impact anyway as far as stopping a developer from doing anything else. It's just basically saying we want something of special interest at the entry. That's how I read it.
Through the chair, I mean, I've spent some time because of graduation with grandkids in Traverse City, and we were in the new Fairfield, which is a 4-story hotel, flat, but the roof comes out to pillars so that you can drive in, go in, make your reservations,
Yeah,
and then
that's
go
nice.
car. But the building is flat. But you don't realize that because
It's a projection.
It's not recessed.
Yeah.
It's that overhang with the pillars. So I don't know as I want to tell them what they need to do with it, other than make it.
I'm okay with number 2 being in here or taking it out. I'm okay with it either way. I don't, as written is fine for me.
I like the
out.
idea that if they come in and say, hey, I've got an entry, it's got a little thing on it, but I got these 40-foot, other things 40 feet apart, they could do that too. I mean, they could do something really nice, what you're saying, or they could do something very reserved in there, you know, with a vertical, but they have the 40-foot.
I also feel like we're debating a really tiny point, but it is a change to an ordinance, and the poor planning commissioners who are going to be looking at this 25 years from now are going to go, "What were they talking about in June of 2026?" So it's not that we're arguing necessarily for our own hearing ourselves talk. It's for the future planning commissioners to have to be able to read and interpret. We think leave it in? I'm okay with it in too. It's fine.
Okay, with the change of clarifying that it's for street frontage.
I would say,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Understood.
if it's on the side, they could be a little door with a little
little,
shed roof on it.
recess it or something. Yeah. Other than that,
However
I
they
think
wanna do it.
it's good to go. I think we could schedule a public hearing. I'd feel okay with it if Ms. Sayer's okay with it, with the understanding that if you want to do a lot more edits, you know, we can always schedule another one of these things instead of the public hearing, if that suits our consultant.
And do you want the provision about planning commission approval in sub-item 3?
My personal opinion is no. I don't like it when we have these sort of, you can do it if you meet a bunch of points and we feel like it. For future planning commissioners, I think that's not good. I'd rather it just be a clear rule, you meet it or you don't meet it.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I do kind of like the idea of giving us more flexibility, but willing to go with the board on this one.
You could always ask for stuff, but it would be nice to have the flexibility. But
In the Belleville Road Overlay District, there are many points that are not arguable, but I believe that there are some, you know, architecturally, what's the term we used to use? It's an architecturally differentiated, high standards of architecture that's already got an awful lot of planning commission, what do you call it? Wiggle room.
Control.
Wiggle room. Yes, it makes it a little more subjective. So we already have some subjectivity just because it's in the Belleville Road Overlay District. So I don't think we need to add it here. That's my opinion.
I agree with it.
So I say ship it. Public hearing time. That's my opinion. We haven't heard from the public comment yet either.
Do we have anyone in the public? Okay. Okay, so then I guess we're ready to send this to a public hearing. What are we looking at? Probably August for the public hearing on this?
July 22nd?
Yep,
We're still
I can get
probably
in
July
next week.
22nd.
Okay.
Staff, you want
So
it as a
do
formal
we-
motion, or can the chairman just direct you?
I believe it's just a discussion, so I don't think you need it up.
Just go with the direction? Yeah, I can direct, I don't need a motion on the floor to send it to public hearing.
Usually you guys do grant a motion to send it to public
Mr.
hearing.
Chairman, I move to, in the matter of Hotel Height Ordinance Amendment Memo Discussion Number 2, I move to direct staff to schedule the public hearing at the next convenient available slot.
And I believe this can be a voice vote, it doesn't have to be a. Okay, all in favor, we have a motion and support for this to move towards, this item to move towards a public hearing. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you, Ms.
Okay.
Sayer, for the report and for doing the research that we asked.
Yes.
I do appreciate it. I know it wasn't easy to go find the other examples. Thank you.
Moving ahead, item number 4, rules and procedure update. As we experienced in our last meeting, I was not familiar with what our rules and bylaws said. I thought they were pretty consistent with what the township board was, and I screwed up, so I apologize. My understanding was that there was 3 minutes to a
Brian,
discussion.
you did not screw up. You did not
And
screw up.
there is actually in our bylaws that it is 5 minutes and 3-minute rebuttal, which is different than what the township board has. And Director Akers has put together from the township board some information to update our rules and procedures. So, or Ms. Williams, one of the two. So with that in mind, I'm going to turn this over to Director Akers.
So, and again, and so it was pointed out at the meeting that the rules of procedures do indicate you have a 5-minute period for public comment. So we did go back and look, and that is accurate. We did call the gentleman who brought it up. There was a township supervisor called the gentleman who brought it up, and he apologized to him regarding the discrepancy. So, that being said, moving forward, we should allow public comment to follow the guidelines of 5 minutes with a 3-minute follow-up unless we change the rules of procedures, which is before you this evening. So, we've had a lot of public comment over the last 6 months. We have received complaints regarding that the public meetings of how that are the differences between how the planning commission and how the township board conduct public comment periods. As you know, the planning commission allows for a public comment period after each agenda item discussion. And the township board has two specific, it allows public comment after each agenda item discussion, and then also has a general public comment in the beginning of the meeting. The township board has 2 dedicated public comment periods, with one being at the beginning of the meeting for items that are on the agenda and one at the end of the meeting for items that are not on the agenda. Previously, the Planning Commission formally conducted their meetings in this manner, but it was changed in 2019 in favor of the current approach. So based on some of those concerns that were raised and based on, the length of our meetings, township staff is recommending changes to the rules of procedure to have the Planning Commission's meetings be conducted in a similar way to the township board. These changes are placing the public comment periods in the beginning of the meeting for agenda items and at the end of the meeting for non-agenda items, and utilizing the township board rules for public comment. As it's in your packet, the township board has a meeting conduct policy where they do have specific guidelines that are used for public comment. The Planning Commission has been utilizing those guidelines over these past 6 months, and we had been utilizing them previously as well. The changes are intended to ensure consistency between the 2 boards, allow opportunities for public comment that are convenient to residents. They'll now be able to address comments about agenda items at the beginning of the meeting, and provide for more orderly discussion and meeting by the Planning Commission. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to kind of highlight what some of those changes were in the draft comments. They're all marked in red. Under Article 4, Section 7, these items were pretty much copied out of the Township Board's conduct policy. There were some changes made where, we referenced the Planning Commission instead of the Township Board. It was pointed out to me that there is a typo on page 6 on the 3rd paragraph, where it talks about candidates running for elective office are permitted to introduce themselves during election cycle. However, comments advocating for or campaigning on behalf of a candidate politicking of any form is discouraged. It should say during the Planning Commission meeting. I left those words out when I was copying and pasting. And then the only other changes that were in there were just changes from Development Services, the Planning and Economic Development Department, and then the order of business that's listed on our agenda. Wanted to, and of course the other change, as we had highlighted, our current rules of procedures allow for 5 minutes of comment. The Township Board's rules of procedures allow for 3 minutes of comment, and then a second 90-second rebuttal period may be allowed by the chairperson. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm happy to, make any adjustments the Planning Commission wishes. It's Planning Commission's rules of procedure, and you can request it be changed by a 2/3 vote. So happy to answer questions.
Commissioners?
Through the chair, I'll start by saying I do like the idea of allowing public comment at the beginning of the meeting. I know we've had some marathon meetings where we've had residents that are waiting for agenda item 4 or 5 and sitting through long agenda items just to get to be able to the point where they can speak on that agenda item. So I do like the idea of having that multiple points for comment. Could you clarify, Director Akers? So there's public comment at the beginning, agenda items. Is there still public comment after Planning Commission discussion on the items?
There would not be.
Okay.
So actually, that would be, to me, that would be a concern that, if you had a longer agenda on a bunch of items, that you'd have everybody standing up at different times talking about different items, to be able to focus on those specifically when the time comes, they kind of lose their value to some degree. I think the way all this language is fine. I just think that the way we run it now to have public comment during the actual agenda item is important. I think it's different than the Board of Trustees and how they do business, because we deal directly with a lot of projects, whereas they don't. Usually they don't. They don't have the same type of agenda.
My concern on that is that if we're allowing them to speak on agenda items at the beginning of the meeting, excuse me, those same people are going to get up and speak again on an item.
No, but he said they don't.
No, if we were to allow the public comment to occur, they could actually speak twice concerning that item. Not the way you've presented it here, but if we stayed the way we have it with public comment, and we also allow public comment on an agenda item prior to that item coming up.
Oh, no, right now, the way it's set up is it's non-agenda items, right?
Right.
So that's the way I see it. I'd prefer to keep it that way, non-agenda items, and then just during the item itself. It just gets, I think it's messy when a bunch of different people stand up and talk about a bunch of different projects.
With thoughts?
Almost, in the board policy, I like the board member rules of decorum. I think there's some of that should be in ours also.
That's
Meaning how you
what
treat
this
each
language
other
is right
at the
here.
board
yeah.
table.
I do have a thing I noticed, and I read through pretty much everything, where it says persons will be asked but not required to state their name and address. I think that should be a requirement, especially to know where that comment is coming from.
So I don't believe under law we're allowed to require it.
Yes, we are, according to what Dana Nessel had in hers, what I read.
I think in this copy of the Open Meetings Act that was included in the packet, it specifically said that you can ask for it, but they're not required to give it.
That's my understanding.
Unless this is an old copy of the Open Meetings Act, I don't think it is.
This
15 on the top.
Did I misread it then?
No one may be required.
Did I?
Be required to register. Otherwise, provide his or her name.
Page 15?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's no one may require or to register or otherwise provide his or her name to attend a meeting. And then the last paragraph in that session, it says, or section, it says, since speaking in a meeting is a step beyond attending, quote unquote, the public meeting and OMA provides that a person may address the public body under rules established and recorded by the public body. The board may establish a rule requiring individuals to identify themselves if they wish to speak in a meeting.
That's where I saw it.
If we have it in our bylaws, then I think we can. And I would agree with the chair that if somebody is addressing a local issue, they should be local.
I've been
My
here
opinion.
doing this since 2014. Every person has come up and stated their name and address, identified that they were a resident or coming from a neighboring community to speak on something. And I really hold value what our residents have to say versus,
agree.
Somebody from Timbuktu.
That's my point and why I want them.
And
would re-
how our specific development impacts them specifically. Like, are they on Denton Road and the development's right on Denton Road? Is it on Tyler Road? So that we know where they are, because again, they have kind of like the expertise of that corner that they're living on.
I would ask, through the chairman, I would ask that if that's the intent, let me follow up with the township attorney on it, because I believe there's case law, there's something that states that we can't force somebody to reveal their address in order to speak. I believe there is something, and I can get verification. I don't know exactly what it is off the top of my head, but I for the years that I've done that, it's always been the practice that I've been aware of, that you cannot require somebody to identify their address. I believe you can ask them to state their name, but I don't think you can ask them to identify their address. I feel there's something in there like
I think
that.
what we'd
I'd
like to
take a
know
look
is
at
whether or
that.
not they're a resident.
Resident.
We've had
That's-
problems recently with members putting information in, or applicants putting information into the packets and them getting scammed because people read the packets, they're public information, the YouTube, the recordings are public information. It's 2026, man. You can't stand up and say your name and your address on a video that's recorded forever. That's crazy.
Anything about address on here, it just says.
But I
identifying
think a
the
name is
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
Residency, yeah.
And
to be-
residency.
and to be, to be fully transparent, like, we do post all of our videos on YouTube. YouTube has a feature where I can type in anybody's name in the artificial intelligence section and look up when they were speaking, what times they were speaking, what they stated, because there's a transcript of every meeting, and that's all there. So
I'd agree that name, I think, is one thing. I think address is a little bit of a concern.
Well, I would like,
Residency might be a.
I'd like residency, and most of the people that have, where we've run into this lately, have said, well, I'm Haggerty Sub, or I live on, I don't want them to necessarily say I'm at 1234
Right, exactly.
Elm
Yeah,
Street.
That would be my concern.
Yeah, but yes, I'm a resident. I live on Bach Road. I live on, or in that area.
Or even, I'm Jackson Paul, Van Buren Township resident.
Yeah.
Perfectly acceptable to me, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way it doesn't get into a security doxing situation.
I had a question about the order of business rules. We would be dropping public comment from the individual items, right? Public comment, I'm looking at page 8 of 10 in the packet. We have Article 6, Order of Business. There's a change, number 5, correspondence, and then number 6 is public comment, new and unfinished business. That would be public comment on any new or any unfinished business. A person can get up and have their 3 minutes, followed by their minute and a half on anything they want to talk about, and that's it. They're done. And that does not include public hearing. So you can't come up and give your public comment on the public hearing and then take another 3 minutes during the public hearing section, right?
So if there is a legally published public hearing, they could get up and speak about anything, and
because
then
it's
and then
not
they'd
up-
come
yeah.
back, and then they could speak up about whatever application is before the commission.
But the public comment for new and unfinished business is listed before public hearings. So the intent is that public comment for public hearing will happen in the public hearing section, and it'll be a separately timed event. If I get up and I talk in public comment, new and unfinished business about my issue, and I spend my 4.5 minutes making my very valid points, then I still get another 4.5 minutes if I have something that pertains to the public hearing. Got it.
The
And
specific public hearing.
to that specific public hearing, and any public hearing in it, because there may be more than one public hearing, so I can have my 3 minutes on any of those public hearings. And then finally, if I decide at the end of the meeting I want to talk about something that's a non-agenda item, I get to go for another 3 minutes at the end with my salient points. Okay.
Combine them all and talk about the same thing.
It's maximum of 4.5 minutes per section.
You know
so.
how Commissioner Jar talks. so
Yes,
just-
absolutely. I want to know how many minutes I have. Absolutely. So, I hear you, but it's important. It's important that we hash it out. So
Yes.
I just want to make sure I understand what we're talking about. And if that's how the township board does it, that's how I want to do it too. It's consistency. That would be great. As soon as we started talking about the 5-minute rule, I looked down and realized this clock control, which by the way is terrible and needs the button replaced, I can't set it for 5 minutes. I can only push the button and get 3. So if we were, that's, it needs to be consistent, if only because the clock is set up that way. Geez.
Well, I know it's up for a vote, but I don't agree with that anyway. I think that to follow the Board of Trustees, when their agendas are completely different for the most part, most of the time, like probably 90% of the time, they're different. Only when we send something to them after we make a recommendation, is it similar then, which it still isn't. I think there's some consistency in hearing specific concerns when you're addressing the project at that time, rather than, hey, everybody say your piece and we're going to just go. I think it's better to focus per project rather than just mixing them together.
I understand what you're saying, but the thing I like about the information coming up front, from a chairman point of view, I don't have to sit there and say, I'm sorry, but that item is coming up 2 places from now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Clear at the beginning what it's for.
well, I have been, and still we've fought through some of that.
How it
I
works.
understand that's part of the problem being a chairman, but the other thing I like about it being front, they have an opportunity to pose some questions that we can possibly deal with when it comes to the time to deal
Or
with
the
that
applicant,
item.
or the applicant, Mr.
Or
Chairman.
or the applicant. That item can be dealt with. When we offer the public comment, it's public comment. It's not
Question and answer.
question and answer. They're not going to get their answer till later, possibly.
So you're saying the public comment now is a comment and question and comment session?
You can always make a comment
We-
as a
we-
question.
You're saying we can answer them now?
We can answer them when that.
That's my
no,
point,
no,
so it's
no,
not-
no. We can answer that question when it comes up on the item in the.
But you can still do that, though.
No, then it becomes a debate.
I mean,
at
after they
times.
sit down. I mean, it's a question they raise. You're not going to answer
Uh,
them directly at any point in
I may not
any of
have,
this.
the applicant may not have that answer immediately, and we deal with it, and it's a question that needs to be
There's
answered.
a lot of people getting up there. You better take really darn good notes to sort this out to make sure that you're ready when the item comes up. I'm just saying it's going to make it a little, and the thing is, I just think for the residents of the township to be able to focus on one project as it comes up is probably a better approach for maybe not so much us, but for them, rather than everybody saying, well, we all got to say something at one time and then they go do their thing. That's my concern too.
Yeah, I just want to ask
Yeah.
a clarifying question. My understanding, and maybe this is wrong too, but when people come up and state their public comment, we can't rebut them because we don't know the answers, correct? Is that everybody's
May
understanding?
know the answers, but no, that's
We don't
correct.
have the answers, or we don't have the clarification on those
Maybe.
answers. So I would suggest that we simply say, thank you for your comments. We will take them under consideration. I believe we are writing those questions down. I know that I'm writing some of them down, and I am then looking afterward that we have come up with the answers to these questions, and then we're publishing them. We don't tell the public that, and I think we need to tell them that because when I go to Meyer, I'm stopped, I'm followed to talk about the data center. So I no longer go to Meyer, okay? I will tell you that I will tell them that they can see that. Well, why didn't anybody tell me? Why aren't you giving us answers? So there's this perception that we're not communicating the answers. Can we somehow repeat that? Brian, I think for you it would be great that it comes from you that you say, thank you for your comments, we'll take them under consideration. Maybe at the beginning we say, we are going to research all of your concerns and your questions, and then you can see those responses on the website, the township's website. Is that correct, Ron?
Well, so
Because we can't answer those questions because some of the questions have to go to the applicant because we can't respond on behalf of those. So then we get into this back and
Right.
forth that creates, seems like, some anxiety with our residents.
situation can be handled in a couple different ways. If you look at the township board's policy, it's on page 6. The way the policy stated is it does allow the chairperson to either answer questions or correct informations either immediately or follow the public comment portion. So that's at the discretion of the chairperson. What it also talks about administration make a diligent effort to answer questions and requests for information not immediately available. So if, say, you had, an application before you, the commission could, and staff, we could write down a lot of those questions, and then you can make sure the applicant addresses those questions during their time. What we do in township board meetings is that if they come up and ask a question and it's something that maybe not immediately available, usually what the supervisor does is they'll say, Deputy Supervisor Selman's in the back of the room, go give him your contact information, answer your question, or Director Akers is sitting right there. go ask him. We'll follow up with you tomorrow. I mean, so we do that as a part, and as a chairperson, you could assign those tasks to us if they're not applicable to a certain agenda item. And
You know, you responding unless you know 2,000% that answer or that they are wrong. Because we thought just at the last meeting that we were right about the comment period, and we were obviously wrong.
And the chair can also, as part of the period, can direct, like if somebody comes up and asks a question, and the chair feels it needs to be answered or corrected, you can turn to me or as staff or Lauren or Paul and say, Paul, could you address that? Or Ron, could you address that? I mean, you do have the authority to do that too. It's just, it's at your discretion as a chairperson.
I like the idea of it being presented at a point where we have an opportunity to come back, not directly at that point, because a lot of times, as I have learned in the time I have been chairman, that it is easy to turn into a debate. And that is not what we want at this point. We want, okay, you have a comment, I understand your comment, and yes, take it under advisement.
Of the township board's rules, they have a Rule 9 under public comment that applies to board meetings. It's Rule 9 dot, I just had it. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on page 8 of the township board's rules. Charter Township of Van Buren Board of Trustees Meeting Conduct Policy, Resolution 2018-7, Rule 9, which happens to be on page 8. There is section 9.3, which I think is important to your point, which was, it reads, public comments shall be directed toward the chair. The board shall not engage in a back and forth debate with speakers. The chair may answer questions or correct misinformation either immediately or following. So that bit about it turning into a discussion, it should never be a discussion with a commissioner, with the audience.
No matter what format we follow,
If Mr. Chairman wants to engage, Mr. Chairman shall not engage in a back and forth with the speakers, even if he wants to. But you can answer questions or correct misinformation immediately or following the public comment portion. But yeah, the back and forth stuff. It's
And that's in the
not supposed
in the proposed language.
in the proposed language.
It's page
Find
page
it in-
6, second paragraph.
Questions, we'd look at you. No, we're not supposed to answer.
You may answer questions.
So
Second paragraph.
Did I overlooked it 3 times, 3 reads? I overlooked it. Yeah, so that's in there.
It's in there.
Yeah. Thanks, Peter. Yeah.
full disclosure, everything in Rule 9 was what was copy and pasted.
Oh,
So-
well, except for the 4th paragraph where you forgot the words, whatever you just said you forgot. Yeah, so I mean, I think that's an important thing to remember, that we can't, it is public comment. It's not supposed to be a discussion
Right.
between any one board member or the chairperson with directly to someone sitting in the audience, right? It's a comment. It's not supposed to be question and answer, but
Regardless of what format you follow.
right. I think adopting the board's rules is the way to go. The Board of Trustees rules is the way to go, as written,
I'm
so it's
good with it.
consistent.
What's that?
Was there?
I just don't like the
Follow
format.
the board
change.
rules?
That's all.
What'd you say, Bernie?
The board rules are fine. I'm just, with the change of the sequencing of the public comments, I think it's better to be focused per project rather than just having everybody.
I like that idea too, just because it keeps us on one subject
Right.
at a time. Like the flipping back and forth,
I
It's
think
nice,
I
but
think with one, if I can inject one caveat to that, is that in the very beginning, right, if we want to move the general public comment instead of at the end, we do it in the beginning, whatever. If we do it at the beginning, we say you will have time, because you always very specifically say for things not on the agenda.
You could always move that to the end.
But you can say at some point during public comment, I think the chair needs to clearly state that their public comment is only for the subject or the agenda item that we're discussing, period. And if we have some rule in there that if you're off topic, then you're gonna be shut down.
Here, Commissioner, that's not the rule.
No,
I
I'm
mean, that's
saying
not
if-
what's being proposed, right? What's being proposed is
Well,
you get
that's-
public comment for 3 minutes plus a minute and a half at one point for all of the action items, all of the items. One person, 10 action items on the agenda, that person gets 3.5 minutes plus a minute and a half. It's not 3 minutes plus a minute and a half per agenda item. So operationally, trying to keep track of how many minutes a person has spoken when they can get up and spend 15 more seconds per agenda item to keep them under a global 3-minute limit
I
is
think-
crazy, right? It's very difficult.
Am I the way I'm hearing
Point of
this?
clarification, I think the intent is, in, yes, could the same person speak around the hotel height,
They should be able to.
around the hibachi grill, food truck? Can the same person give their opinion on everything? I
They
think if they
should.
have an opinion on everything, then we should listen to them.
Yeah. I don't think you should give them 3 minutes for the whole day. You know, it's like,
But in reality, is that same person gonna talk about the hotel height and the hibachi grill and the food truck? I don't think I've ever seen,
yeah, but you know, it's
Yeah, they want to.
knock on wood.
50 per project.
To do a public comment section at the general public comment at the front and then still allow for action item?
I think what I would do is I'd keep it per action item and move the non-agenda public comment toward the end.
Or are we just trying to?
You're not getting its people, going down the trap of talking about something that is on the agenda. They can wait till the very end to do non-agenda items. And that way they're not repeating stuff that's on the agenda.
My only
The desire that we wanted to be consistent with the Board of Trustees. And
Yeah, but-
that's what I believe the residents were saying, so.
But they function different than we do.
They do, I agree.
They
But
do.
if we
They
want
do.
to accommodate our residents, that's what they've asked for. If we have issues moving forward, then I guess we need to rehash this again.
I'm not sure that's what they're asking for them to be the same. I think you might get a little pushback if they say, hey, look, we only get 3 minutes now to talk about everything at one time.
How often do we actually have
It's not about how often, it's about when it does happen.
anything more than 2 or 3 items really on the agenda? And
Like I said, I mean, I do like the idea of not having people wait through the entire agenda item or through the entire agenda just to speak on something. But I would agree with Commissioner Grant that I think the more opportunities to speak, the better. I think we should, just as a public board, should support that.
But the applicant has to wait. So people that support the applicant have to wait too, or if they don't support it. Anyway,
Yes, but if there was at the beginning, if there was an opportunity to speak, then the residents who want to just come in and speak and not have to wait. I look at it more of like a accommodations thing.
and then they just get 3 minutes for the entire, it makes,
Yeah, but then we have to keep track of, oh, that was
Well,
Bob or that was Jim. He already had his 3 minutes.
What I would be in favor of, and, of course, it's up to the board and 2/3 of the board, but I would be in favor of allowing both. The more opportunities, the better. That's what I'm saying, is I would make allow for public comment at the top, and then allow the agenda item public comment as well. That way, it sort of follows the board, in the sense that there's the public comment at the top, but then we still allow, because we get into some more specifics, but at the planning commission level, it allows for public comment at those specific points. And then that allows for the residents to say, I want to stick around. I want to be here, whether it's midnight. We've had midnight meetings. I want to stay till midnight to speak on this. And that gives them that option. If they don't, then they still have that option at the front of the meeting to speak. That's the way I see it.
But can they double dip?
well, the thing is, when the applicant speaks too, they get to hear that and then ask, make comments relative to that too.
Well,
so
but if we have,
they may
I mean,
know
and
the
granted,
story.
I was not here, but if we have somebody that comments in the beginning on a hot topic. And then that agenda item comes up and there's the same topics or the same argument, or I don't want to say argument, but same things that they brought up in the beginning, they're bringing up again, just to make sure we hear them.
Keeping track of that stuff.
Right? It's keeping track of that administratively. And we're gonna have somebody get now 6 minutes plus another minute and a half. So they're gonna get 9 minutes as opposed to just the 4.5, right? I mean, in theory.
The math adds up that if you have, like we frequently do, a public hearing followed by a special land use, followed by just a preliminary site plan review, that's 13 and a half minutes of speaking time per member of the public on what's effectively one agenda item. They get up and they say the same thing 3 times in
Well,
a
that's my-
row,
that's my
right? That's what you're saying. And it adds up to about 13 and a half minutes per person. If you have 20 people, you know, we're here till midnight, right? And it really becomes repetitive at a certain point. Message was received and written down multiple times. It's not that we didn't hear it, you know?
That
So-
was my concern, is that,
I think that's why just leaving it at the project level. And again, my suggestion would be take that non-agenda stuff and shove it to the end. And then you don't have any overlap, and it's just per project.
you're saying eliminate the comments at the beginning and allow it only at,
Because it's non-agenda items.
Non-agenda items.
right, right. That's interesting.
I've seen it at other.
That
At
would,
the township board level, a member of the public gets 4.5 minutes of total speaking time per meeting. Is that really true?
Well, they would get,
Sorry,
Uh,
if there wasn't a
it-
public hearing or something like
yeah,
that.
there wasn't a public hearing, so they would get their 3 minutes during the public comment for new and unfinished
Oh,
business
yeah,
if they have to
right.
speak. And then they could get another 90 seconds if
For
the
non-agenda.
supervisor allows it. And then during non-agenda, they get another 3 minutes and then another 90 seconds if the
Right.
supervisor allows
So
it.
it's not per item on the agenda.
No, they're given 3 minutes for every item on the agenda.
Yeah, that's
For the whole thing. So if there's 3 things they want to speak to, they get 1 minute per item. And they have to say it all together at one time, not address it as they're listening to an applicant make a presentation, they're saying, oh, I forgot this. Or I have a question that I want to address to the chair that he's going to follow up on later. That might influence us to table the whole item.
One change that we did on the staff side after the 7-hour meeting that we had is, we used to list our agendas where we'd have, special land use public hearing and special land use approval, preliminary site plan review, all would have their individual comment periods. What we did after the 7-hour meeting is we started consolidating agenda items into one action. So there was one public comment period per agenda item just to keep the meeting moving.
I'll
So-
make one more comment and then I'm done. And that
Okay.
is, we didn't used to have public comment in every item. It didn't used to be that way. And that got added in at some point by a chairman, I forget who, might have been Chairman Kelly at the time.
I'm not certain. I know the change was July of 2019 because I looked through the agendas. So
I think it was probably Commissioner, wasn't it?
no, it would have been,
Carol?
Carol.
We didn't used to have public comment in the agenda items individually, and I think the meetings were smoother without it, frankly.
Well, see, here the thing is it may not be good for us, but it's good for the public. And this is one of the only chances at times they get to say something, and it's good for them to have that capability to do that. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of frustrated residents.
I could see changing the order, as Commissioner Grant had suggested, moving public non-agenda items to the end of the meeting, allowing individual comments on each item as we go along, as we have been, and removing the public comments at the beginning. And try it. I mean, we can always change the rules later. Right? As a group?
General public comment would be at the end.
Yes.
For non-agenda items.
Non-agenda.
Non-agenda, sorry.
all the other suggestions of conduct and time and all that needs to be, and if we have I mean, I hate to say it, but if we have a hot topic, right, item, then if somehow we can communicate that to the public, so they know ahead, and I think we did.
We do.
Okay.
We do. We have to.
Yeah.
By law, it's put out there.
No, not that we, no, I'm saying the rules, right?
Oh, the rules.
Just the rules, yeah, that they get 3 minutes, they get this, and if there's any of this, then that, and the other thing, and then,
And you say it.
oh yeah, it's gotta come from the
minutes
chair, for sure.
Rebuttal. Yep.
So one thing that I guess just a couple reminders for the planning commission. So it does require a 2/3 vote to change the bylaws, which is 5 votes. So anything less than 5 votes fails. And then the second is based on the conversation, if the intent is to move the non-agenda items to the end and then to leave the public comment periods under each individual agenda item, the only change that you will need to make to this current document would be on page 8. You just have to remove this public comment under item number 6. And I think we would be able to accommodate it by doing that. So that's.
Does everybody like that approach?
Yes?
Mm-hmm.
I'm good.
Explain that
How do we
approach
do,
one more time.
how do
to
we do
me.
that, though?
I missed it. What was that approach?
Take out item number 6,
Public comment, new and unfinished business?
business. Allow everything else to stand with public comment existing under each of the 8 and 9, and then non-agenda items being at number 10.
No, I'm not happy with that. I think we should adopt the board's recommendation. I think we should do it consistently throughout the township. If the Board of Trustees has decided that they want to have public comment at every action item, at every agenda, every item in their agenda, we ought to do it their way too. I think we ought to be consistent.
So
That's
you're
what I
saying
think.
that the board's recommending us to do it this way?
No. We're being asked whether or not we want to adopt the way the Board of Trustees handles their public comments section and their rules.
I don't think
And I
we
think that
necessar-
doing it their way is a good way. It seems to work.
We don't allow people to comment on every
Right,
agenda.
right.
It's not like, they're not major projects. Typically,
Right, no, I
affect them.
understand what you're saying, but the board does not allow, it. But I know what you're saying.
I mean, we are, I like the idea of being consistent with the township board. But we are a different group dealing with specific things of construction within the township. The board deals with so many variety of different items,
Right.
and that's what
Right.
Commissioner Grant was coming from. That I understand why they want theirs
Yeah.
comments at the beginning dealing with each individual item, where we are dealing with basically construction. And that's,
So I guess the thing is whichever direction we go in, it could be a trial period, maybe.
and if it continues working, then we can keep it. If it's something
mean-
that falls
I mean,
apart,
if Commissioner Jar wants to go in that direction, I guess what we do is we weigh to see what the feedback is from our residents and see if that makes a difference. If they really want it, they'll be good with it. But if they don't, they may let you know that at some of the very first meetings of, hey, we like the original format. So you can go ahead and give it a try if you want. But I still think it belongs at each individual project. And I'm not as concerned about it being the same as the Board of Trustees. They just do different types of business, like you're saying, non-build, fair amount of non-build business. That,
well,
everything affects everybody. It's not the same. It's the built environment. It's a little bit different.
well, they have different directors appearing at the board meetings. We have one. And the specialist that goes along. where they have a variety of directors that could be there. Right?
So I think I'd be willing to go Commissioner Jar's way if we put a trial period against it to find out if it.
We can always change, I mean, procedurally, I think we can, if it doesn't work for 6 months, then
It
in
wouldn't
6
surprise
months,
me
we can
though that
say,
if
let's
you-
do
yeah.
it the other way.
Well, I might take a shorter period, but I think,
Well, I mean,
it just
I don't
seems
think we
to me
need to
like
state
if
that
somebody.
period now, is what I'm saying.
It just feels like if somebody's going to step up and say, look, the original bylaws say that we had 5 minutes. Now we're really going back to 3, right? And now you're only giving us 3 for the whole meeting on every item. And if there happens to be 2, like we've had in the past, you're basically cutting their time in half. So their perception is probably going to be different than ours. And I'm saying, I'm on the side of we should give them the opportunity versus what could be perceived as taking time away.
Agreed. I would add, I'm comfortable with changing the order. I'm not comfortable with taking away time. And I would agree with Commissioner Grant that I think that's how it would be seen right now. I also think that in the middle of some very large developments, it's not the best look to be changing rules, speaking times, allotments in the middle of those discussions. So I would also maybe suggest that we wait 2 or 3 months before we were to implement this. Again, I just don't think it's a great look to literally be changing rules and procedures right before. I would assume we would have final site plans for some big projects coming down the line, and I think that would be a bad look.
Yeah, that's true.
And also, yeah, I just will always defer towards more public comment. I know nobody wants to be here until midnight. Residents don't either, but if that's what it takes, that's what we need to do.
I will ask, depending on how the board goes, the only aspect of this that probably has more of a sense of urgency is adopting the rules for the
Yeah, I think
minutes
we
and
could
the
do that. I
time.
think we could do that.
Just because, again, I know 5 minutes has been the standard. I don't know if the planning commission has ever actually followed the 5 minute, the 5 minute standard. And three, I mean, again, it's, we want to be here. We want to give everybody the opportunity to speak. We want to hear everybody who has the opportunity to speak, but, we want to make sure meetings are run orderly and move along as well, too.
I mean, it's important that we do hear the public. We got a big piece of information when we were doing the agritourism.
Yeah.
Had we not allowed the public to speak, we'd have passed that, and the guy with the limited front, he had 10 acres, but he didn't have enough frontage to meet what our original ordinance was established as. So,
I mean, to be fair, he would have still spoken at the meeting in the new business items or the unfinished business items. The
not
gentleman still
disagreeing,
would have
but
brought
I'm
his
saying
point.
it's important that we do hear, and
Absolutely.
as much as the people at times don't think we listen, we do listen to what they have to say. And we do alter decisions that we make based on their comments. So, we want to make the changes as far as what is put on Section 7, correct? That's basically establishing the times and the process at this point.
So changes to section or Article 4, Section 7, and then there were just some minor name changes in Article 5, Section 1.
Because as far as the order of business is concerned, we added that public comment without changing the rules at the beginning. So, do we want to have that exist the way we want the township, or the way the township board is? Or do we want to leave it this way and
I think Commissioner Jackson makes a great point, though, that to change something like that currently, the thing is with the time, I mean, we've always been doing it that way. I think you can justify that easy enough. So there's truly no change other than the verbiage. But I think with regard to the sequence of how we run the meetings, I think, so there isn't a perception of changing it right before some major decisions, I think would be a good idea to wait till after that.
so put this kind of on hold till?
No, I think we need to do it in two actions. I think we need to adopt Section 7.
I agree with that.
Mhm.
I think we need to adopt Section 7 and Article 5, Section 1 changes today.
In the decorum section.
And then everything except for order of business.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
Hold the order of business the way we've,
And then if
We've been
if
doing-
need be, down the road, we can do the order of business at a later date.
And when we say order of business, we're referring to public comment during each individual.
That's the only time that that's mentioned, the order of when it happens.
Mhm.
It's the only part that's mentioned is the order of business.
Perfect, okay.
I think that's an excellent idea.
I'm comfortable with changing the rules, the procedures, just leaving the time and the order of the agenda for right now.
Well, technically, we're taking away time right now, but we're doing it as we've been doing it. Doing it as we've been practicing. We're documenting what we've been practicing.
Yeah, we're not going to 3 minutes
Right.
for the entire agenda item right now.
No, we are. No, we're not. What I'm saying is the time limit in the current rules says 5.
Right, yes,
We're changing that to 3.
right.
But
we
we're,
haven't-
but we're doing it as we've been practicing. We're documenting what we've been practicing.
Right.
So technically, we're not changing anything, but yeah, we are changing something. It's
So
like
at
We're
this
changing
time,
the rules. We're not changing the method by which we're operating.
there
There you
would
go.
still be public comment after each agenda item.
Order of I mean, that's what I propose. Yes.
Before your motion, oh, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, the order of business just calls out new and unfinished business. It doesn't call out the A, B, C, D action items, and it doesn't say anything about public comment inside of the new and unfinished business items. If we're gonna adopt a new set of rules, do you want to codify in that you're planning on putting public comment into every action item?
Well,
Right now,
that's
it's
the
not
way
in
the-
there.
That's the way the agendas have been coming to us, so that probably should be put in there.
Your intent.
If we're adopting the whole thing, that would be true.
Yeah, I'd be happy to codify the current order.
Did you have something?
I was just going to say before your motion, we do have public comment before you make your motion tonight on this last agenda item. I don't know if anybody from the public wanted to comment, but I didn't want to miss that because somebody talked about making the motion. So
Oh, and we do have. She's been waiting a whole thing for this
I didn't want to miss her. She
opportunity.
looked like she was.
Expecting to come up and make a comment. I'm Patty, and I do live in Van Buren Township. I think if you adopt the Board of Trustees method of commenting, it's suppressing my vote as a citizen, because at the beginning of the meeting, I might not have the information I need to make an informed comment. And I like listening to the discussions that you all have, hearing from the applicant, and then your discussions after you hear from the applicant. Then I might want to make a comment about it. So I really hope that you keep the comment after each agenda item. And if you need to take it off at the beginning, that's fine, but don't suppress our voices, please.
Obviously.
Thank you.
Thank you. There I go. I was going to speak. See? My teacher in me. That's taken under consideration.
The commission wants to codify it. I would propose the language under, so you have Article 6, Order of Business. You'd strike the changes to add the 2 public comment sessions as those were the changes. And then we would add a statement at the end that says public comment will be listed under each under each new and unfinished business agenda item.
So, Ron, just one comment that we would not strike the public comment non-agenda items at the end.
Okay.
We would keep that at the, I mean, I would, I'm thinking this is the discussion, it's kind of gone. But the non-agenda items would be moved to the end from the beginning. And then, yes, put a comment at least initially, right? And we can, again, we can undo what we, if it doesn't work.
Through the chair, a lot, just how the agenda has been made up is what that could look like.
Yes.
It just worked.
All right.
Just to clarify the process, we can't just change it any way we want to. It's the township board that has to approve it. So we can propose these changes up to the township board of trustees. The township board of trustees has to review it and allow it.
Oh, okay.
That's correct, Director Akers?
Correct.
Because we are a commission that runs under them.
Yep. It serves at their pleasure.
We do. So,
Good point.
so do we have any action on this?
Chairman, I would also propose that because the language matters and because this is a set of rules that, again, future planning commissioners will get to abide by, right? I would strongly suggest that we have staff do another draft with the exact language to go in front of us so that we can review it again before making our recommendation up to the township board. I really think it's important that the details matter.
I agree.
And there was a lot of discussion back and forth. I'd like to actually see it written down.
Okay.
That's my feeling on it.
Okay.
I will support that.
Critical that it gets done before the next township board meeting, call a special meeting. I don't know. But I think it's important enough when we're changing the operating rules based on, the situation we're in right now. We owe it to our community to make sure we're doing it exactly right.
Yep.
It needs to come to us and we need to approve it without any other edits, modifications, missing words. We need to make our recommendation to the township board with full faith and confidence. And not put that, I trust you, Ron, but I don't want to put that burden on you, if you understand what I'm saying.
That's a good point, too. Yeah, I agree with him.
Planning Commission's discretion, so that's what we do.
Okay. So we'll hold on an action on that until we get an updated version of it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do it as a motion, I suppose.
What's that?
I mean, just
Is
to
there action
direct
needed on that?
staff via a motion.
We don't need to do it.
That's what I was just wondering.
Like I said, I trust.
This is our rules.
I trust.
This is our decisions. Okay. That brings us to general discussion and updates. Anybody got anything?
I do have questions.
Oh, jeez.
Turn. No, one has to do with the moratorium. Just to be clear, I think it was like mid-February, right? I can't remember the date, 17th or something like that. But is it 6 months?
It was 6 months, so it's going to go through to September.
Okay.
So it's let me put it this way: it's very likely that it will be extended.
I would expect
but
to, yeah.
I have a rough draft of what the new rules are in my inbox. I have to take a look at them. I haven't read them yet. From our planning consultant, so we're going to be taking a look at that hopefully either late this week, early next week, and then I believe we have it anticipated. It'll either be on the 8th or the 22nd is when it's going to come before
Okay.
the planning
Okay.
commission for its
The
first.
ordinance, yeah, the
Yes.
yeah, that would be good. The other thing is I'm going to bring something I brought up before again. It's kind of a little bit of a complaint, but down Haggerty Road where it splits and it goes towards 94 to the east and then along the apartments, I can't remember the name of that road.
Old Haggerty Road.
They've been filling that in for almost a year now. And it's amazing to me. Like if it was a development you would be part of the development for all the grading and what the grading's doing for all the drainage. And all they're doing is filling it in indiscriminately with who knows what fill, right? And the township has no way in on that. It just amazes me that they're changing the grades. It's like starting a project. You just don't have the building yet.
We've looked at our codes, I've looked at our ordinances. We have guidelines for if they're, mining and pulling soil off-site.
That's not what they're doing, so.
Which is not what they're doing. I have guidelines if they're doing construction. I have guidelines if they're
Sorry,
putting up a
I
building.
missed, what are we talking about?
The
If you, right along 94,
triangle of Haggerty and Old Haggerty and North Service Drive.
they've been filling it in with just
Where the
fill.
mobile station is.
Yeah, there's no permit, no, nothing, just go in and there's just
Just north of that. they're
piling
adding
dirt, piling
adding
dirt. It's,
No, we have referred it to the Wayne County Department of Public Services and their soil erosion department. And, again, I know they put a mud mat in, because I've seen that. They put a stone approach and cleaned it, but
Doing this?
I don't know. That's a good question.
the gentleman who owns the it's the same owner who owns the BT station over at the corner of the service.
I
drive
think
in
that we need to have some kind of ordinance to control that, because that's just, anybody can go in anywhere and start filling stuff in with uncontrolled fill, right? Who knows what it is? I'm not saying, I don't know, I mean, it could be great fill for all I know. But the thing is, there's no control on it. So they're just coming in, filling in that whole triangle. And of course, it's not great, because whatever was there looked better than a lot of dirt that's everywhere and piles stacked around, so it's an eyesore too. But it's not engineered. I mean, if you're gonna fill a site, it needs to be engineered for rainwater flow, right? For all we know, it could flow anywhere it wants onto an adjacent site. And then you'll hear about it through a complaint. So I think that it should be permitted. I think we need something in the ordinance to control people just filling sites and getting them ready for buildings. They're basically prepping pads.
Well, the other thing is, if it's uncontrolled fill,
I don't know what it is. I mean, it could be perfect
where's
stuff,
it,
but it doesn't
where's
look
it
that way.
coming from? Is it coming from a brownfield somewhere that they're trying to get rid of?
Right.
That just happened in
Could be
Detroit.
contaminated for all we know. We just don't know. So
We don't have any idea of the soil.
no.
I mean, I saw a lot of sand going there. I drive that way all the time.
tell you the conversations that I've had with the property owner, but I mean, again, that's just conversations. I haven't seen a manifest. I haven't seen.
Did they even have a silt? I don't remember if I even saw a silt fence. Did you?
Again.
Nope.
I
See,
don't
that's if that's part of Wayne, it's that part of Wayne County. If they go, they're not even adhering to that. But I'm wondering even if they're doing it at all, if they've gone through the county and have any permission to do this. And so my follow up to that too is, what are they prepping it for?
Oh, I
That-
anticipate he wants to build on it at some point.
I mean, are they looking at any sort of staging for for the development across the street?
We've gotten, just in the last week, we got a temporary land use application for Corby Energy. They wanted to use it as a laydown yard, but we got their plans and advised them that there were some adjustments that needed to be made.
Yeah, that's what it seemed to me like. It's an uncontrolled fill-in for construction, but Jason, which, I mean, you should be able to weigh in on that too, right? So, I mean, it just shouldn't be able to just take control of a site without having the proper engineering done and the proper permitting.
I understand.
So I don't know if that means that we can, for future purposes, can we draft an ordinance to cover that? I think we need to do that. We should probably done it a year ago, but we should add that to our list, our growing list. Which is good, really, because development is coming through the township. It's great that, we're starting, it would be nice to have a little bit more foresight for obvious reasons. But at least, some of these things being identified early to get them handled and in greater detail, I think, the language is important, would be beneficial to the whole community.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Anything else?
Mr. Chairman, I would ask staff, are there going to be any training opportunities coming up? Any opportunities to go take the citizen planner course or anything that we need in order to meet our specific training requirements?
So
Usually you guys guys find it, not us.
The Michigan Association of Planning Conference just opened registration. I believe we sent everybody an email, so those who wish to register and participate, it's in Kalamazoo. It's in October, September.
That might be something.
So anybody who's interested in participating, there's that. The Citizen Planner course is offered all year round online, I believe. It's put together through Michigan State University Extension. It's I know many of the commissioners have already taken it, but it's a really good crash course on what the responsibilities of a planning commissioner are. And it's a lot of communities have actually required it as like, you have to complete this course within 6 months of becoming a commissioner because of the value. I know I will say many years ago I took it when I was starting out, and I found it to be very valuable. So anybody who hasn't taken it, we pay for it. We gladly pay for it and encourage it. So please, reach out. We'll look at the training schedule and see if there's any in-person opportunities that are close by, but they usually also offer it in person during the Michigan Association of Planning Conference too.
I didn't realize that there were communities that actually required it. I would think that'd be a pretty good addition to our rules and requirements. You wouldn't have
Highly
taken it if they
suggested.
weren't forced on you. No, it was a really good course, and it really helps us understand what our responsibilities are, what our areas of control are, where our boundaries are as planning commissioners, what we're allowed to ask, what we're allowed to demand or require or not. And if you haven't had that particular training, I don't know, maybe everybody's had that training, maybe this is a moot point, but for future planning commissioners, it's important. I mean, it answers a lot of the questions, like, can you ask the Power Commission?
Yeah.
What can you demand of them, right? I mean, it really does answer
What
it, right?
happens when the state steps in?
And what happens when you don't abide by open meeting rules? Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter, trucks, dirt, piles, when the state.
You give up your local control, you're in trouble. Yeah, so I think that if we're going to be revisiting our rules as planning commission, we might want to assuming that's a thing that other communities have required, we ought to consider requiring it. We already have a training requirement. Everybody is, I forget exactly what it is, two credit hours? I forget.
Two classes.
Two classes a year, minimum of update training, so that we're kept on our toes. But I think the citizen planner is actually really the most important one.
Anything else?
Chick-fil-A's coming along really nice.
That was the next thing I was going to mention. Is Chick-fil-A is looking good. Sheets is coming along well.
They got their bricks on Chick-fil-A quick. I drove by them one morning when they had them, staged and set up on their things, and then I think I came home. Scaffolding.
Got to see how fast they could put up a chicken sandwich too.
Came home, I think, the next day, and they were already up and curing. So yeah, I'm starting to crave it. I think last we heard it was like September, Labor Day-ish.
Oh, is it really? Okay, that's good.
I'm not holding my breath.
Sheets
to
is going
get-
along fast,
I think
too.
they're going to be open. I think the traffic is going to be crazy.
I think that Sheets is racing Chick-fil-A.
I saw that some fireworks stands were administratively approved. I'm very happy to see that. I saw that at the Menards, there was the hot dog stand under the eaves, and it didn't come in front of us.
Yeah.
That was wonderful. Very good. So I think, while we sit here and we talk a long time late into the night, the changes that we make are important, and the little sweating over the details, so that, again, future planning commissioners don't have to maybe do it quite as often, is well worth the time investment and all of the long, lengthy windage that some of us produce. It's nice having you back, Commissioner Creel.
It's good to be back.
So are there any other comments for this evening?
None for me, sir.
Then at that point, I would entertain that all at times non-elusive motion to
Sure. I move to adjourn the meeting.
Support.
We have a motion and support to adjourn the meeting. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.